afternoon. Welcome, Brooks's Bass Corner live chat 102. Today, coming to you all the way from London town here in the UK. You're very welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on the planet. Hope you're well. Hope your bass playing's going great. Hope everything is okay. The world's in a funny place at the moment. And, yeah, odd. Past couple of days have been odd. Past couple of weeks have been odd. But we'll try and keep it as anti-political and all of that today as much as we can. So, welcome. Come on in if you're a bass player, even if you're not a bass player. We're talking bass guitars, bass amps, bass effects, bass accessories, anything to do with bass guitar. Great bass players, bands with great bass players in, great albums with some great bass playing on. If you want to talk about basses, if you've got some problem with some gear that you've got, maybe your bass isn't playing ball, or your amp's got an issue, or your effect pedal just ain't doing it, come on in. We can talk. So we can offer advice, we can offer help, try and give you some insight. If you're a bass player going for your first audition, I'll try to help you. If you're trying to build your first pedal board, I'll try and help you. If you're looking to buy some new gear, I'll try and help you. Maybe, and we might get some people today, maybe you're at the Guitar and Bass Show in Birmingham here in the UK. If you are, I did actually put a message out on the community tab a couple of days ago. So if any of the regular viewers are watching and you're at the bass show, you might be, I don't know. Maybe you've turned your phone off. Maybe you haven't got good reception there. But if any of you are regulars here, or even if you're not and this is sort of flashed up on your phone, you're watching. If you're at the bass show, do me the honor of sending me an email. There's a ticker running along the bottom of the screen, brooksysbasscorner@gmail.com. If you're prepared to go live and give us a guided tour of the bass part of the Guitar and Bass Show, that would be absolutely fabulous. I had loads of people like the message I put up, but no one sort of responded or came back to say they were willing to do that. But if you are, then let me know. I'd really appreciate it. And you can give us a guided tour of the stands. I know this year they've got like a bass room. So it's not the bass show, it's a guitar and bass show combined. So apparently they've got a bass room this year. So they're sort of separate to the guitarists. But if you are there and you want to give us like a roving report of the exhibitors there, the stands, the distributors, manufacturers, that'd be fabulous. So feel free. Again, all you got to do is email me at brooksysbasscorner@gmail.com. I'll email you back with an invite for this live chat. You click on that and you'll be live on camera. And you can, if you've got your phone or maybe you've got a video camera or regular camera with you, you can go live, give us a guided tour of the bass part of the Guitar and Bass Show in Birmingham. It would be fabulous. So where are we? We're live chat 102. So last week, didn't have a gig Saturday. Got a gig tonight. I had a gig 2 days ago, and we had the funeral for Nick Smith in Peterborough Cathedral on Tuesday, which was amazing. Frankly, it was took my breath away. Peterborough Cathedral is no small place, and as I was walking up to it, I thought, goodness me, that's sizable. That's a big place. And you walked in, and you realise that was seriously big. And I eventually found a seat, met a guy called Pete Scott from Switzerland who builds his own basses, Scott's Bass Guitars. Pete, if you're watching, pleasure to meet you and hang out with you on Tuesday. It was fab. Sorry we couldn't get everything sorted out for Thursday. And I sat down next to him and I started counting the seats. And I'm thinking, there's a few people here. And I think by my rough calculation, and this I'm leaning on the lower number here, I think there was easily 500 people there, maybe more. Hell of a turnout. And literally most of the people there came to the wake afterwards in Peterborough. Some bands playing, loads of musicians that he knew, loads of family. Nick was a bit of a local celeb in Peterborough and surrounding districts. He really was. And I've never seen a turnout like that at a funeral. I mean, it was like someone in state had died. It was quite incredible. But anyway, we gave him a good send-off. If you're up there watching, take the dogs for a walk, will you? So that was Tuesday. Thursday, I did a gig vlog. You guys won't have seen it yet because I haven't edited it up. I've got halfway through it. That will go up probably tomorrow. So that'll be gig vlog 4. I was with crazy little thing called Queen, a Queen tribute. We were playing at Boysdale Restaurants in Canary Wharf, which is partly owned by Jules Holland, keyboard player with, well, former keyboard player of Squeeze, and obviously probably most famous now for Later with Jules Holland on the BBC. So we did a tribute show there on Thursday. Went down really great. I was surprised. I thought everyone's going to be too busy eating their steak and chips and their fish cakes and stuff. But we came on and they absolutely went for it. I was really surprised. So thank you very much, Boysdale Restaurants. Thank you for looking after us. It was quite outstanding. We had some lovely food. They gave us loads of drinks. We were well looked after and catered for. So thank you very much. And tonight we have the request gig that I've been doing in recent weeks. So I'll be at Greek Street Live, just around the corner from Top Court Road Tube. If you're in the vicinity, feel free to drop in. I think you got to pay to get in. But if you let me know that you're coming in advance, I can probably get you in on a guest list. So it's a request show. People in the audience write down song requests on cards. They come up to us, the cards, not the people. And we go through them and we pick out the songs we can do. And it's all good. It's all good fun. We did one a couple of weeks ago and it was really outstanding. We had some great song choices that night. Loads of songs I didn't actually know, but we got through and did a fine job. So looking forward to that tonight. So there'll be a gig vlog. I'm planning on doing one for tonight. Past couple of weeks when I've done that gig, I haven't done a gig vlog because I just thought it was too dark. Would have been a little bit boring with the amount of darkness. So literally I leave home and it's dark and we get to the gig and it's dark and you're walking around dark little streets and then you get to the gig and it's quite dark in there. But we've got some sunlight, 1st of March, so it's nice and bright outside, so it could be a better video. And I'm trying in my mind to work out where I'm going to put a camera to film some of the performance. So I'm going to try to do a gig vlog number 5 tonight, so that'll be up in a couple of days time. So here we are, Brooksy's Bass Corner live chat 102, coming to you all the way from London town. Thank you to all the new subscribers. We've had loads of new subscribers this week. A bit of a subscriber surge again, which we do like here on the channel. And sorry, I've got an email there. Is that? Just bear with me a moment, gang. I am sure I sent him. I know Jamie's going to come on here at some point today. Helps if you're in the right account in your email, Mike, and you can see it, can't you? Oh, maybe I didn't send it then. Maybe I didn't. I need to send him an invite to come in live on the live chat. So just bear with me a moment, gang. Because I know he's at the gym at the moment, bless him, and he will come out of the gym and want to come on to the live chat. So let's just paste that. We'll send that off. Here we go. So there's no excuse now. I've done that. Dave Angel, good to see you. Welcome. Hope you're well, my friend. Hope everything's going good. Right, that's all grand. So we can just go there and I can keep an eye. So if you want to join in on the live chat, you can. You can come on here live by video or audio. You just turn the visual side of your video feed on your camera or your phone off and we can hear you. Or you can come on here live and talk to me by video if you wish. There's a ticker at the bottom of the screen. Email me, brooksysbasscorner@gmail.com. I send you an invite. You click on the invite and you're here live. That's how it works. That's how Jamie comes on live past few weeks. It's a very simple concept. Works very well. So if you want to join in, feel free. So if anyone's looking at new gear, maybe you're at the bass show in Birmingham. Maybe you're looking at some of the stands and looking at some of the instruments, pedals, amps. Steffi, good to see you. Let me know. If something caught your eye and you're thinking of buying it, let me know. If you're there and you think, I don't know if I want to buy this or not. Ask me, tell me what you're looking at, and if I've played one or reviewed one, I'll give you my unbiased opinion as far as I can. Obviously, take every base on its merits. You can play 10 of the same base and they aren't going to be the same. So if I can help you in any way on that front, no problem at all. If you've got general questions about bass gear, well, basses, amps, effects, accessories, and you're just looking for some advice, some help, some information, let me know. Let me know. If I can help at all, that's what I am here for. So we've got, I think, another 4 of these. No, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we've got another 4 live chats on the Saturdays to come. I did ask last week and a couple of weeks earlier, and I put a message up yesterday. I put up a poll to ask what people wanted to do with the live chats when we get to the end of March. So this has been a season since start of January. We moved over to Saturdays from the Tuesdays because I just wanted to see, as a bit of an experiment, whether we could tap into some bigger viewing numbers, see also if it worked better for people on Saturdays. Obviously, during the winter months when it's quiet, dark, weather's fairly grotty, people are trying to save a bit of money after Christmas and New Year. It's worked quite well. It's been pretty good. I might do it again next year after Christmas and New Year. But I was asking if people wanted to move back to the Tuesday evening. So Tuesday evening here in the UK, Tuesday afternoon on the East Coast of the US, Tuesday morning, if you're on the West Coast, a live chat would be, I guess, 11 a.m., 12 midday. So at the moment, let's just have a look. So we've had 5 votes and it's split. Okay, so when I looked at this poll this morning, basically people wanted it to go back to Tuesday evenings. Now it's a slightly split poll. So 20%, so 1 vote, said they only watch the live chats on catch up. And that's fine. We've now got 2 people who've said take them back to Tuesdays and 2 people have said Saturday works best for me. Do me a favour, if you're watching the live chat, please go on to the community tab here on the channel. Have a look at that post and let me know. In fact, I'm going to put it into the live chat as well. Let me just go in there. And I'm going to put a little poll up. If you wish to put your response in, that would be fab. Right, let's have a look here. I'm going to put a poll in. So start poll. Live chats. Keep on Saturday or move back to Tuesday. Please vote for this. Give me an idea. Let me know. Otherwise, if I do it and you don't like it, you've only got yourselves to blame. Stay on Saturday, move back to Tuesday. We'll have a look at the end of the live chat and see what the general consensus is. I want to try and keep you people happy, so let me know. So that poll is there. So if you're watching this live chat, obviously if you're watching on catch up, I don't think you can get involved in the poll. But I'll leave it there, and so someone's already voted stay on Saturday. Wow, okay. Please put your input. I'm letting you guys have a say in what we do with the live chat, so feel free. Okay, Dave, in a recent stream, you mentioned stretching new strings. How do you do this? Good question. Let me show you. I have done it, actually, if you go onto any of the workshop videos here on the channel where I've restrung a bass, you'll see how I do it. There's no science to this. It's fairly simple and obvious. Let's just I'll use the alembic persuader, why not? So when you put new strings on, what you're trying to do is you want to remove the slack. So a new string that hasn't been put on and tuned to pitch, all that metal is going to get stretched once you anchor the ball end at the bridge, attach the other end at the tuner, of course. So once you've cut your strings to length and you start winding on, and obviously press down on a standard bass, press down on the string as you're winding it on. You want the point at which the string is meeting the tuning peg. As you wind and tune the string up to pitch, the winding always needs to be at the bottom. Don't start allowing the string to cross over itself or be at the top. You want it at the bottom. So you tune it up, and once you get the strings to pitch, or I mean, basically when I'm restringing, I take all the strings off, I then put a new set on. But as I do each string, I'll put the string on. Actually, I don't tune to pitch. I'm going through my mind's eye at how I do it. So normally I'll put a set of strings on. I'll do them one at a time, but I don't stretch them in until I've got all 4 on. So once I'm tuning up to some sort of pitch, really it's just to get the string tight and taut without going over the point that it's tuned. So normally the strings will be slightly under, probably a tone or a semitone off where they need to be. So once they're on, you're using a tuner, tune the string up to pitch. Okay. Then what you do, try and do this without damaging the bass. So I'm going to just take the banners down. Just take them away. So basically you'll have your bass flat. You can do it resting upwards if you want. It doesn't matter. So basically all I do is I get my hand under the string, and all I'm going to do is pull it up. And I'll do it along the length of the string. Sorry, if I stand further back, you'll see what I'm talking about. So stand further back, and I'll do that all the way along the string length. Then check the tuning, and you'll find it's dropped. It just will. So then you tune it back up to pitch. You do it again. Yeah. You tune it up again. And then you stretch it again. And eventually, after about 4 or 5 times, then just start playing. Whether it doesn't matter if the bass isn't in tune, just start playing. Get the strings moving. Put them under some playing pressure with your fingers. So I'll just play a load of nonsense. There's nothing scientific about it. Just, even if it's just, and I'll do various sort of string bends and all sorts. Basically, you're acclimatizing the strings to being taut and under pressure when they're in tune. Once you stop playing, tune them again. You'll find they're well out, and just keep stretching them until there comes a point where you can play them and stretch them, and basically they're not out of tune. And that's it. That's all stretching strings is. I've seen so many people in my career, going back to like when I first started and used to play at school, and I've seen bass players at school concerts try and be Mr. Clever. Oh, I've got a new set of strings on, put them on before the gig. Okay, let's see how that works out. And I've seen people snap strings, like 1 song in, sometimes 2 songs in, because they haven't stretched their strings in. And the funniest thing is they'll put a new set of strings on, tune them up, don't stretch them. And within a verse, those strings have gone totally out of tune. And they're lost. They don't understand why the strings aren't in tune, because you've not stretched them in. You haven't acclimatized them to being under tension. And that's what you do. Even now on gigs, when I get to a gig, get the bass out of a gig bag, I'll stretch the strings in before I start tuning up, just to get them into playing mode, if you like. And that's all there is to it, Dave. There's no, like I say, there's no science to it, really. It's just a case of getting the strings ready to be played. Think about it. If you're doing, say, 245s or 2 1-hour sets, it's a lot of playing. And the strings are going to be bent and pushed and pulled and slapped and played with a pick and finger. They're going to get an absolute beating. So really you want them in, I say in position. You want them to be prepared for the onslaught. And that's all stretching strings is about. Don't worry about breaking them. You won't. If they're, as long as they're not corroded inside, like I had on a live chat where I was doing some bass work in the workshop, and I put on an old set of strings which I thought were fine, and as I tuned them up and held it by the string, it popped. It just went at the tuning peg end, not the bridge, bizarrely. And what happened was I'd had those strings so long they'd corroded through the core. Oh God, they must have been, what's that, 10? They were probably about 16 years old. And kept them in paper envelopes in the garage, and the strings are corroded over time. Just, it happens. But anyway, you should be able to, on a healthy set of strings, be able to hold your bass by a string and they won't break or snap. This is what they're designed for. You know, think of the tension these strings are under. So that's all it is. That's all it is. Hope that helps. But there's nothing scientific about it. You won't damage your bass, and all you'll end up doing is prolonging the life of your strings and getting better performance out of them. That's really it. Juice, good to see you. I'm a big fan of nut sauce when restringing. Yeah, some people are. I know. I've known many techs that used to have a soft lead pencil, and they would run the pencil inside the nut slots on bone nut and plastic nut guitars and basses before the days of graphite nuts. You got a graphite nut, then don't need to do it. But on older style nut materials, running some pencil graphite is like, it's almost like a dry lubricant, if you like, for the strings. But normally I've seen guitar techs and guitarists do that, not so much with bass. But yeah, whatever works for you. Yeah, the string that popped when we were doing the workshop live chat was the only time I've had a string snap, literally just snap at the headstock end near the tuner. It's always been around the bridge area or just in front of it. I've never had a string go at the tuning end. That was a first. But you live and learn. You live and learn. But those strings had been in there since they'd been in the string box since 2008, I think. 2008. And they just corroded. I couldn't do anything about it. I didn't know they had corroded. It was only when I put them on, stretched them in, and then decided to hold the bass like that, and it went, pfft. Not to worry. No damage was done. So what's everyone's news? Anyone bought anything new? Got your eyes on anything? Aware of any good sales that are on at the moment? Actually, also, while we're nattering away, I know that StreamYard, which is the platform we use here to go live on YouTube, has presented me with some new features, which we were crying out for when we first started using this last summer. So now I don't have to share my screen in order to share photos and videos with you anymore. They've built in the features. So now I should be able to share an image file with you. So if I find, let's say, find a bass here on my hard drive, and I don't know how this is going to display, so I've got to, I've only literally found out these features have been added as I was preparing to come live here this afternoon. So let's have a little look. So, okay, picture of me with Jack Bruce, that'll do. There we are. So if I share this, I don't know how this is going to present on screen, okay? That's how it's going to present on screen. So if I go that, okay, cool. And there's that, very good. And that overdoes it, and that doesn't work. Right, okay. So that's fine. So that shows me, right, so we can do shared pictures. Very good. Which is great. That's a huge improvement over what we had. Before, you had to share screens, and you had to embed images within a Google document. Just crazy. That's far better. Okay, and if I remove it, wowzers. Okay, cool. That makes things a whole lot easier. So sharing of video files. Now then, this could be interesting. Let's have a look. Now, I don't know if you're going to get audio with this. You might or you might not. All right, let's run a bit of the video from the latest video that I've done here on the channel. Let's have a look. So that'll be the Anaconda J4E Elite review, which I did on Monday. Let's see. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it. You might not. I don't know. Now, it's saying the sound is muted, so how does that... Okay, so I can scroll through it. It does make talking about videos here on the channel really handy. So if any of you have seen stuff here on the channel and you want to ask me questions about anything, I can call that video up and we can talk about it in real time. Wow, okay. That's very good. Now I just wonder why we don't get the audio. Although it does make things good in terms of copyright. Settings could be in there. Right. It's obviously something I'm going to need to look at. It might just be a thing for copyright so that if we wanted to talk about something and the audio might create either a copyright claim or a copyright strike, there isn't going to be that issue. Very handy. This is what we've been crying out for on StreamYard. Make all this stuff a lot easier. Well, that's really good. That helps. Well then, I'll open it up to you guys. If there's any videos here on the channel and you've got questions about those videos, you can now say. Yeah, great. That's very handy. Thank you, StreamYard. Well worth the 170 odd quid subscription that I pay a year for that. That's handy. That's really handy. And it's great because I can call up other videos online and present them to you. And we can talk about them. That's cool. Let's see. Again, though, people will say, and we've had on live chats before, people say, oh, can we see some of the videos of you playing live? And I put the video up, but there's no sound. Clearly, that's not... that's... What we need is like a mixer between the videos that are being shown, so I can control the voice level of me doing this on a live chat and the actual sound on the video. But anyway, that makes things a lot easier and a lot handier. So I wonder how, if I go into, so if I click on a, YouTube short, how does that present itself, I wonder? Oh, okay. Okay. That makes sense. Still don't know why we can't see or can't hear the audio. Okay, I'm going to have to have a look on the StreamYard forums to see what is controlling that. But anyway, it does make talking about videos and images a lot easier. Okay. Very good. Very good. So have you got any questions about basses, amps, effects, accessories, anything here on the channel? If you're at the bass show, the Guitar and Bass show in Birmingham here in the UK, let me know. We would love to have a roving reporter go live. So you can send me an email. Put my teeth in. You can send me an email at brooks'sbasscorner@gmail.com. And I'll send you an invite. You can come on here live. You can give us a guided tour of the show. That would be super. Yeah. So, yeah, as I said, we did a video on Monday, which was the latest bass review, which was the last of the 4 Anaconda basses that I had here, that I've done reviews and demos of over the past sort of year or so. And that was the Ultra J4E Elite 4-string. So it seems to have done pretty well. It's quite popular. It's had some good viewing numbers this week. Let's see, how many has it done? Over 640 views since last Monday. So thank you very much if you've watched it, commented on it, shared it, liked it. It's a great bass, really. The sounds on it are just so varied. The combination of that circuit and those pickups and the switching options were the real sort of selling point. And I did get a message from someone who said, well, you know, any bass fitted with those pickups and those switches would be able to produce those sounds. Maybe, but all I can do is review the bass in my hands as I'm reviewing it, and the combination of the construction, the materials, the electronics, pickups, the whole thing, how it's set up, the playability. It was just a real winner of a bass, and it was sold last year sometime. But if you want one just like it, or in a different color, or with some different options, contact Andrew at Anaconda Basses and he'll be able to build you one. It's as simple as that. Very nice guy, very easy to deal with, very accommodating when it comes to building instruments for customers. And that one was an absolute winner. I've played various Anacondas over the years. I've reviewed quite a few for Bass Guitar Magazine and Bass Player. Always really good options, good tonal sort of palette to pick from. There's always a lot of, doesn't have to be, but he sort of crams in all the tonal possibilities you might need. So on that bass, we had a 3-band EQ, 2 mid shelving settings. So there were 2 frequencies that you can boost and cut. Then it had series, parallel, and single coil switches for each pickup, because they were humbucking pickups, and dual coil. And just a really great bass to play. Really enjoyed it. If I was to get an Anaconda made, I'd probably go down that route with a similar package. Change the colour though. Probably go for a cherry sunburst or a blue burst or something with a gloss coat. The matte black was very nice, but I like a gloss coat on a bass. So, but thank you very much, Andrew, if you're watching. I know you're not. You're at the bass show and you'll be very busy. You'll be mobbed with people trying your gear out. But it was great having those. So thank you very much. Look forward to getting some more in the future. Juice, just watch your Dingwall Super P video. One of the first videos here on the channel. That goes back to autumn 2000, so nearly 5 years ago. Considering a few P's at the moment to fill a hole in your toolkit. Okay, certainly look at one of those. I know they are quite hefty on the price, but it's a Dingwall. You're going to get attention to detail. I think the Super P's are made in Canada. I don't think they're made in China. I think that's still the NG 2s, 3s, and the combustions done over there. But certainly consider them. Again, if it depends where you're located, but have a look at your local luthiers in your vicinity, because a precision isn't the hardest thing to do. Getting a good one can be difficult, but it's a fairly, I don't want it to sound flippant, but it's a fairly simple design and not that hard to get right if the builder knows what they're doing. And I know I was thinking about something similar for my 50th a while back, and I ended up going with a GB Rumour here. Not that it was built for me, it was already pre-built, but it was available. But I was thinking about getting a sort of custom-built Precision, and I was going to ask Martin Peterson at Say Basses at the gallery in Camden to do that. But like I say, in the end, I went down the GB Rumour route. And it might be worth looking at that, because obviously you can do a custom order through the likes of Dingwall or any other manufacturer. But if you go with a local luthier, you can actually go and see the thing in all the stages that it's being built and constructed. So if there's something you want to add or change or modify, you can do that. And the other thing is, with a P, you're not getting into mad pricing with electronics and technology, and unless you're having an active P, of course. And like I say, it's a fairly basic design. So you get it right, you get the right timbers and the right pickup and the right hardware, you can come out with a really great bass. So have a look at that as an option. You may find it's a bit more expensive than you want to pay, but the fact that you said you've watched the Dingwall Super P video and you're thinking about it would tend to lead me down the road that maybe you've got a fairly sizable budget. So like I say, if you have, then you can kind of have what you want. But again, with any sort of precision bass, play as many as you can, because they are not all the same. People get this idea that a P is a P is a P. It's not. It's not. It's why I've got 4, and they're all different. They all sound different, feel different, play different. The weight of all of them is very, very different. You're based in Lincolnshire. Okay, maybe have a look at Shuka. I think he's up that way. Maybe have a look at Overwater. I know they're the other side of the country, but still. Bernie Goodfellow will do a P bass if you want one. Again, Martin Peterson will. There are so many custom luthiers. I mean, Anaconda will do a P bass. I mean, they do a couple of basses that are PJs. We've just got to take the J off, you know. And if you want a handmade one, you can do that. Or you can have one of the Essence range in from China, which will certainly come in probably no more than £1,000. But then if you don't want to spend all that, then, you know, the world is your oyster. Every bass manufacturer virtually will do a decent P bass. It's just nature of demand, you know. People always want P basses. So you started looking at birth year basses. That's yeah. If I had bought a 72 like 20 years ago, which is when I was thinking about it, I probably could have got one jazz. I was thinking about getting a P and a jazz from 72, and I could have got both probably for about 1700 quid 20 years ago. Now you're looking at £4,000 plus, so that gives you an idea of appreciation. So if you're going to do that, the sooner you get on that bus, the better. The only thing I would say is 77 Fenders is just around that period where things really started to change in terms of the quality and the weight and how they sounded and how well they were built. Do your due diligence when you're looking at things of that vintage. They're nearly 50 years old. Things go wrong. It's a discussion we had a few weeks ago when Joe Goose was on here, and we were talking about old Fenders and stuff. And also we were talking about 80s active basses. You know, components start going wrong. Hardware starts degrading. You've got corrosion, things to do with plating. You know, is the pickup going to go? Does it need rewinding? You have all those things with vintage instruments that if you get one and it's great and it's been looked after and you can verify the you know, what it is, that it is what it is, and its provenance is okay, then great. But if you get one and things start going wrong, well, you're going to lose your value. You're going to lose the appreciation on it if you start having to change things, you know, resprays, hardware, rewound pickups, replacement parts. It affects the value. It certainly does as a resale thing. So if you're going to buy those things to play them, that's great. If you're buying them as a heirloom to put aside, and that's my date of birth year, birth year bass, and I'm looking to make money on it further down the line, you better make sure you get it right. But I trust you to do your research and make sure that what you buy is what you think you're buying. But it's a hard thing. It's why I've not gone down the vintage route. You're not a Case Queen bass out there. But no, I didn't go down that route. And I was going to at one point in the early 2000s. And I thought, well, if I do, this was my thinking, if I do and things start going wrong on them, you've got to replace parts, then they're not original anymore. And what you're buying them for in terms of being able to sell them on further down the line, you better just hope. This was me talking to myself. You better just hope that things don't start going wrong and all of that. But so I've never quite got onto that. Never got onto it really. If something came up that was really good and I thought the price was worthwhile, then maybe. But now at the age of 52, I'd be doing it just for the sake of having it, probably. Not necessarily to play or use. I don't really do recording, so I don't need to have a Jazz or a P that's, of a certain vintage because it's going to sound great in a studio. Well, I don't do a lot of studio work, so I'm just fooling myself there. On a gig, am I going to take it on a gig? You might. I've never been a huge Fender fan. That I've always got Fenders on gigs. I don't. I've usually got Statuses, GBs. I look at the collection and think, well, all of those, it's I've got things from all sorts of manufacturers, but yeah, it's not having a Fender bass is not the be all and end all for me. But certainly go ahead, do your diligence, do your research, check everything out before you put your cash down. And there are some great bass retailers here in this country. Vintage Bass Room, Bass Direct, Bass Brothers, Gallery. There's a few others. Andy Baxter, of course. Go out there and shop. I hope you find the ones. I hope you find what you're looking for. So invariably, whenever I've been looking at birth year basses, I'll find the bass. I think, oh, I really like that, but can I have it in another colour? Well, you can't. It's that example, isn't it? It's that one that's there. You can't go there and say, I'll have that, but I have it in a natural gloss finish or, tortoise arc at me. Sunburst. 3-tone sunburst is what I meant to say. But it's always like that. Or you find one and it plays great, but it looks bad. Or you find one that looks really good and plays horribly. It's that example is the only one that's there in the shop, Sometimes you might go into a retailer. There was a place in Denmark Street, I think is still there. And they charge a fortune for old vintage instruments. And sometimes you go in those places and they'll have like 2 or 3 of certain years. And, that's, it's not a miracle, but, the fact that there's 3 examples from 1 year. And chances are they're not all going to play the same. So at least you've got some, you can make a choice from the 3. That sort of thing. The pickup is the big thing, really. The wood is normally looked after and what have you, but it's the pickup, it's the cabling, jack socket. Obviously the standard of the frets, quality of the frets, whether they've all been sort of worn away or not. But again, if you know what you're looking for, I mean, there's so many things to know with those old vintage instruments. But if you can pinpoint a year, as you obviously have, the things to look for in terms of that year of production and probably the year before and after, because obviously some years and some basses you'll have a body from one year and a neck from another, just the way Fender did it. And sometimes you might have non-period correct controls, tuners, all of that thing. But I wish you well on your journey. I hope you find what you're looking for. What are you looking for? I mean, do you know? Do you know what finish you want? Scratch plate, all of that thing. Every time I find a 72 that I like the look of, it's usually gone very quickly. Or it looks like someone's tied it to the back of a van and dragged it down the motorway, which isn't usually my thing. I'm not a huge relic fan. A bit here and there is fine, but I don't want something that looks like it's just been pulled off a tip. Or if it does, then I want the price to reflect that. So it is 2:45 here in London, here in UK. Hope you're safe and well out there. After all the shenanigans yesterday. If you don't know what I'm talking about or you haven't watched the news, I suggest you get yourself up to date on world events. And it made me very angry yesterday. I don't tend to bring politics on a Brooks's Base Corner. I try and keep it free of all of that. But in my 53 years on this planet, I've never seen an American president behave like that. Whether you agree with him and his crew and their policies and what they're doing, I'm not arguing that point. I don't care. That's not what my grievance is. But there's a way to behave as a world leader. There's a way to, I mean, they were banging on about respect and being grateful and what have you, but they showed none of that themselves. And I thought it was appalling. It was basically a display of thuggery and bullying. And it's not the way a world leader should behave. And I was quite shocked to my core yesterday when I watched that. So before we get a load of Trump lovers on here going, whoa, and they start rattling their chains, that's not what I'm arguing about. I'm arguing that there's a way to behave. There's a level of decorum. You could have had that argument off camera. You didn't need to do it on camera. You could have done it behind closed doors. And you set the guy up for the fall to make yourself and your followers look better. It was to justify not having to shell out any more money. That's what it was about. And I thought it was a disgrace. But like I say, if we get any fans of that bloke on here arguing, we won't be drawn into an argument on here. But I'm not arguing what he stands for or his beliefs or his policies or anything else. I'm just saying, as a world leader, you don't behave like that. You're not worthy of the office if that's what you think is acceptable. But there we go. Anyway, right. So to erase that despondency and annoyance, the only way to get through the day is to, or for me, this morning I watched some of my favourite comedians. So I was watching some Billy Connolly, and that improved my my outlook immediately. And I know someone from North Carolina will be listening to this on her earpiece while she's cutting her client's hair. So a bit of Les Dawson never goes amiss. And I watched a couple of Les Dawson clips on YouTube. One of my favourites. And I love this. And you can, it's out there on a million memes in internet land, but you can have this little comedy gem for free. So, and I love this. I've heard it a million times. It still makes me laugh. So Les Dawson said, so my mother-in-law came up to me and looked me squarely in the eye. With anger written all over her face, she said, when you die, I'm going to dance all over your grave. And I said, I hope you do, because I'm going to be buried at sea. And that raised the spirits. So, yes, the world may be going off kilter a little, but comedy will make you laugh. So you can all have that one for free. Anyway, we've been going for 50 minutes here on Brooks's Bass Corner. We're talking bass guitars, bass amps, bass effects, bass accessories, great bass players. Got any issues with your gear or your playing? Let me know if I can help. I'm happy to do so. It's what I'm here for. If I don't know the answer, I'll open it up to the floor, and the fine people here on Brooks's Bass Corner will get involved and offer their two penneth. So, yeah, as I said, there is a poll running today that I've put up. So, where have I put it? It's there, isn't it? There we go. So there's a poll up. So no, don't end the poll. I want to see the poll. There we go. So in a couple of weeks, we've got another 4 of these running on the Saturday. when we get to the end of March, that's the end of this sort of segment, this season, if you like. I'm going to keep doing the live chats on a weekly basis, but I just want to know what people want. Do you want me to keep it on Saturdays, or do you want me to move it back to Tuesdays? So if we go to Tuesday, it'll be Tuesday evening here in the UK. It'll be Tuesday afternoon on the east coast of the US. It'll be 11, 12 o'clock midday on the west coast. I'm happy to do it either way. The only thing we're doing it on Saturdays is, as we get into sort of late spring, summer, and I start doing more festivals and weddings and what have you, I may have to move the start time to midday on a Saturday here in the UK, which means certainly for a lot of you, it's either going to be really early on Saturday or you're going to watch on catch up, just because that's when I'm working, you know, and usually by 2 o'clock, I've got to be in the car on my way to a gig. So bear that in mind. But if you want the live chats to stay on Saturdays, that's cool. If you want it to go back to Tuesdays, I can do that as well. And if you're watching on catch up, it doesn't really matter because you're going to watch it whenever it's up here on the channel. So all good, but give me your input. It makes a difference. Okay. I'm trying to let you guys have a say rather than me just say, right, we're going back to Tuesdays. If I find that everyone really wants it to stay on Saturdays, then that's what we'll do. It's how you can get involved in what happens here on the channel. And that's no bad thing. We're about democracy here on Brooks's Base Corner. Thankfully, so far, we haven't had any trolls in this week. We had one last week, and he got booted out. As soon as I realised he was there, he went back under his bridge. So, coming up here on the channel, so there'll be gig vlog number 4 going up tomorrow. And then there'll be gig vlog 5, which I may sort of hold on for a couple of days. We'll put that out towards the end of next week, which will be tonight's show, the request show in town. I've got some Ibanez SR300 videos to go up. That will get them out of the way. And there will be some Warwick Bootsy Collins space-based videos as well. So reviews, demos, and shorts of that and the Ibanez. Then we'll start getting stuck into the pedals. So I've got the Flatley pedals. There's one straight out the box video, and then I'm probably going to do a comparison video of the 2 units I've got here, which are the Fuzz and what's the other one? I'm just having a look for the name on the label. It was the Ace, the Boost Ace, I think it. Let me just check. Out of my hat here on a. So I did it last summer. The Bass Ace Tone Boost, which allows you to keep a clean bass tone as you start increasing gain, so that you don't end up with distortion and fuzz all over the place. So I do a comparison video of those two, and then it's going to be getting into my pedal collection, which is 50 odd here. So get stuck into that lot, and I've got to build my pedal board. We've got Decades of Dance rehearsal coming up in March and a gig in April. So the board that I kind of constructed for the first gig back in October, I need to now nail that down. Get the board set, cabled up, tied in, and locked down, basically. So I will do a video for that. And there will also be a video, which will be like a bass tips video, where I show you how to save your pedals and pedal board if you're on an outdoor stage and it's raining. And you won't believe it's a very cheap and easy solution. But Jerry Blair knows what I'm talking about, but Jerry Blair's not on here at the moment. Juice, how did you get on with the EHX Pitchfork? It's right here. I've been starting to put that through its paces this week. There will be a review and demo. In fact, I may even do that this week. I did a load of filming for it, and there were a couple of things I wanted to add in, but also I wanted to do a comparison between that and the Digitech Drop. So keep watching the channel. If that's really on your radar, I'll try and make sure that goes up this week. It's virtually edited. I've just got to tweak it a bit and get the first part out. But the lovely thing at the moment is because my gigs are quite sort of sporadic, I've got loads of time between them to get the content out. So hopefully you've noticed on the channel. In fact, I can tell you. So since Christmas and New Year, since we came into 2025, I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 long form videos. I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 YouTube shorts remixed out from the long form videos. And we have done 1, 2, 3. Today is the 10th live chat. So, yeah, there's been a lot more content going up, which was the plan. So I intend on making that a continuing trend. So I'm trying to get a couple of long form videos out each week, take the shorts from those, and obviously we have the live chats, and as far as I'm concerned, none of that's going to change. So if you want to see that, Juice, I will try and put that to the top of the list. So get the gig vlog out the way tomorrow, and then I'll work on that pitchfork video. Dave Angel, Saturday's cool at the moment whilst it's still winter, but in summer I'll be out of hibernation. This is what I'm saying. I'm happy to do Saturdays, but if it means my audience is like whittled down to a few people and everyone else has gone out, which I would expect, that's why I would move it back to Tuesday. And we'll go back to the Saturday thing, maybe in late autumn, or I can just leave it until the winter section after New Year, which is why I did it. It was an experiment to see. And actually, excuse me, the numbers haven't increased that much. I actually think I get more of an audience on the Tuesday evenings for some reason. I don't know why. I thought the Saturdays would pull in. Sorry, you just got a huge thump off the mic. I thought the Saturdays would pull in more people, more casual viewers via YouTube, but the numbers don't reflect it. I actually get more viewers on catch up after we finish the live chat than we actually do live. But on Tuesday nights, we get more of an audience at the time. So, but it's not been a disaster. It's been pretty good. And actually, a couple of the videos have really flown once they've been uploaded to the channel. So it's all good. It's all good. And the channel's doing great. While I'm talking to you, I've got the channel dashboard in front of me. So current subscribers is very good. We're plus 57 on the past month. Views are up. Big green arrow. Nearly 30,000 views in the past month. Watch time hours, we've had just over 820 hours in the last 28 days. It's all good. Everything is in green. I can't argue. I can just keep doing what I'm doing, get more content out, doing my research, working off the latest trends, work with vidIQ. We get there. The channel just keeps going. My plan is this channel will go until I'm in my 70s or so, unless I croak before then. I don't intend to. But yeah. Try and impart some information, bit of fun, some entertainment, bit of education here and there. Try and get what is in there out there to you guys and the younger bass players in the community. I'm very aware, since our friend Nick departed, that he passed away with a huge amount of bass information in his head, and none of it was written down. And we can't reference what he knew. And he knew so much. He knew stuff that even manufacturers of some of their basses, or some of the basses in his collection, that even the manufacturers didn't know. And he knew. So I don't want that to happen to what I've got. in there. So my best outlet for that, I'm probably not going to end up writing a book unless someone pays me a lot of money to do it. So as much of it as I can impart to you guys in the live chats and the videos here on the channel, that's what I'll try and do as much as I can. You don't do 4,500 gigs and not learn a few things. And Lord knows, as a young 20-year-old bass player, if we'd had YouTube back then and I could have tapped into someone like I am now with all that experience, my route into the bass world would have been very, very different. But having said that, it was a different time. It was 30 years ago. And the whole gig situation, recording situation, the whole musical landscape was a very different place. It really was. I say that, and I know some people go, oh, I'm sure it's not that different. No, it is. It really is. My gig diaries, I've got all my diaries in a box to my left. And if I go through them, you know, the bulk of those gigs don't even exist. The buildings don't exist. A lot of them are flats or hotels or housing. They've gone. You know, there were whole chains of venues that you used to play. So you didn't just play one, you'd play all the venues in that chain. They've gone. They've gone. They just disappeared. A couple of recessions saw them all off, sadly. But there we are. There we are. I had a nice couple of Queen shows come in for a band that I've not played with before, but I know very well because I know a couple of the guys in the band. So two of the events are private events for corporate clients, but one of them is a public event. So if anyone, let me see, where's that? 14th of March. I'm playing with Supersonic Queen down in Dorset, actually Poole in Dorset, and I think it's called St. Peter's Church. I think it's a public gig, I think. Let's have a look. If anyone's based down there and you want to come, let me know. I'm sure there'll be guest list spots, but let me just see. Make sure I'm not talking a load of old guff, but I think it was called St. Peter's Church. Here we go, St. Peter's in Poole on the 14th of March. Let me see if I can find some information for you. Doors are at $18.45. Tickets are £31.35p. But like I say, if you tell me in advance that you want to come to it, I can probably sort that out for free via the guest list. Full 5-piece Queen tribute band. Yeah, I don't think there's any orchestra or anything else with it. Oh, so it looks like a fairly standard show. I've not played with them before. I'm awaiting the song list. I would imagine it will be all the big hits and maybe a few album tracks here and there. But yeah, Poole in Dorset on the 14th, Friday the 14th of March. I will be there. So if you want to come along, let me know. Juice, just a thought. If you take a poll, if you take a poll on a Saturday, won't the majority here say Saturday? Not necessarily, because some of the people that come in on the live chats just come in on the live chats no matter what day of the week it is, and I'm very grateful for those people. The whole idea of doing the Saturdays originally was to tap into the people that were at home on Saturday afternoons or mornings if you're in the US. In that period after Christmas and New Year where people don't really go out. It's cold, it's wet, it's horrible, trying to save money. And I wanted to see as an experiment on the figures, the viewing numbers, the hours watched, whether that had an effect. So some people have come on the Saturdays and said, I preferred it on the Tuesday. And other people have said, well, the whole instigation originally was people on Tuesdays going, especially in the US, I can't watch your live chat when it's live because I'm at work in the US. So if you put it at the weekends, we can watch. So some did, some didn't. And that's kind of the deal. But we'll see. We'll see. Steffi, speaking of Queen, I'm going to Berlin on Wednesday to see Neil. Oh, he's doing the Billy Joel songbook, isn't he? He's over there at the moment. Well, enjoy it. Say hello for me. Hope you'll enjoy it. Haven't been to see that show since 2018. Yeah. When they had David Brown, who was Billy Joel's guitarist for many years. Sadly, no longer with us. But I'm glad I went to those shows. And that was Stormfront and 52nd Street, I think, with the two albums on that tour. Very good it was too. So here we are, Brooks's Bass Corner, live chat 102. Coming to you from London town here in the UK. I've got a gig tonight. I'm in central London doing the request show, Greek Street Live. If you want to come along, you feel free. Round the corner from Ronnie Scott's, very close to Tottenham Court Road Tube. So I'll be there. I can't even tell you what we're going to play because until we get the request cards from the audience, I haven't a clue. We will see. We will see. It's always a surprise. You can barely prep for the gig. First two times I did it, I spent my Saturdays, so this was before Christmas when live chats were still on Tuesdays, I spent my Saturdays cramming covers tunes because I don't do a lot of that. I did covers for many, many, many years, and I still do covers, obviously doing tribute bands and genre bands, but I'm not doing the regular, these are the popular covers in the pubs, clubs and music venues. So I was having to refresh all the big popular tunes that I hadn't played for quite a while. And I was racking my brains thinking, well, that could come up. And that, you never know what someone's going to pick. You just don't. And even though you try and have like a framework, so if no one suggested anything, you've still got a gig. You can still do the gig. But I learned very quickly after the first two that really it's a fly by the seat of your pants thing. And the guy on keys at the front will pick tunes, and two guys in the band will have iPads and they'll call up like quick charts for the songs, and someone will say it's going to be this, right, we're doing G, C, F, D, right, fine, off we go, bang. And thankfully I have a pretty good knowledge for covers songs, and I've played so many and I know song arrangements, so even if I don't actually know the actual bass line, I'll get somewhere within the ballpark. And then as we're playing through it, I might, if I know the song reasonably well, I'll go, oh, yeah, there's a little hook there. I'll work it out while I'm playing the bars leading up to, oh, yeah. We had, just before Christmas, before December, actually, I think it was the third one? The third one I did. And someone thought they'd be clever in the audience and asked for Money, Money, Money by ABBA. And they must have thought they're not going to know that. You know, the bass line's a little intricate on that. But they obviously didn't know or realise that I'm playing an ABBA tribute. So that was fine. I said, you keep calling the ABBA song, I'll play you as many of those as you want. So that's fine. And the keyboard player was very pleased because he thought he was going to have to do the whole bass line as well as the piano part. And I went, no, you're fine. He said, are you sure? You're going to be okay with us? Don't worry. I played it last week, twice. So it's fine. All good. All good. So if anyone's watching, they're at the Guitar and Bass Show in Birmingham, let me know. Feel free to email me. There's a ticker running along the bottom of the screen. brooksysbasscorner@gmail.com. Email me. I will send you a invite, and you click on the invite, and then you are here live. And you can give us a guided tour of what's going down at the Bass Show up in Solihull in Birmingham. I was hoping I'd be able to go tomorrow and check it all out and touch base, with some old friends and retailers and manufacturers and distributors. But sadly, I've got a few life things that need dealing with, and a few jobs that need doing, and unfortunately I only have so much time each week to get everything done, and I just thought it's going to completely throw me, and it'll wipe out a load of the time that I actually need to get these jobs done. Otherwise, these jobs are going to keep lingering and lingering, and they're never going to get dealt with. So I just had to forego going to the base show, sadly. Next time, maybe next year, we'll do that. We will see. So if you've got gigs coming up, let us know. If you're in the UK, let us know what you're all up to. The world of gigs should start kicking back into action seriously over the next couple of weeks. Now we're coming out of winter, going into spring. I know summer's starting to hot up. We've had a few gigs for Uncle Funk this week come in for the summer, so it's good. And like I say, I've had a run of gigs with another Queen tribute come in for the middle of the month, so middle of March, which is great. Looking forward to that. And you'll see one of the Queen tributes I play with on Gig Vlog 4, which will be the long form video going up tomorrow. So that was filmed 2 days ago. We were playing at Boysdale's in Canary Wharf, which is one of the venues owned by Jules Holland. And we had a great gig. Really enjoyed it. Great audience, great crowd. Venue was great. Really looked after us. Had a very nice dinner. We had lots of drinks. And I say lots of drinks. It's not like we were drinking. All of us were driving later, but, you know, could have a glass of wine with dinner and what have you. So it was all good. So I'm going to try and make a bit more of this image sharing thing. So I'm going to take a little delve into my bass collection. And if any of you want to discuss any of the basses I'm going to show you, or you want to ask any questions, then feel free. So let's get in there. I want that folder, would be good. And we did this months ago, but anyway, we didn't really get that far through it. So I'm going to post up a bunch of pictures of various basses here in the collection. And if you guys want to ask anything, feel free. So, well, here's a perfect bass to start with. There you go. See what you make of this. So, let me take the banners down, or the big one. So that, for those who don't know, is Mark King's old 4-string StingRay that he bought in 1989/1990 for the recording of the Guaranteed album. It was also used on Forever Now, and was also used on a bunch of the tracks on the Trash CD. So a lot of people always go, Mark King never used a StingRay. Yes, he did. He didn't use it live, although he did use it on one appearance in Ireland for promotion, probably for Guaranteed single. Although you can't find any clips online, but a friend of mine, Rob Steen in Ireland, has got it on VHS. So he basically ordered that 4-string and a 5-string in red. And you'll have seen pictures of the 5-string from the studio shots that were taken. I can't remember the name of the photographer. Basically, the guy that was in there that took loads of pictures of the studio with all the basses on the wall and in the racks and what have you. Anyway, that was the 4-string bass. So how did I end up with it? Well, back in 1997, July 97, that's Jamie Millard there. I can bring you the screen. Hold on. And to stage. There we go. Afternoon Squire. We have a new feature. We can share photos and videos. So I'm just going through a couple of the basses that are in the collection. Yeah. So, yes. So July 97, lots of us who were Level 42 fans were part of an email digest before the web digest existed. And basically you'd get this post once a day, which was a collation of all the emails that had been sent to that server that day regarding questions and posts that had gone up the previous day. So I was sat at work back when I did a part-time tech support job, because gigs were a bit light at the time, and it was a Monday, and I was sat there and the email digest popped in, and the first message in the digest said, Mark Queen, teeth in. Mark
Mark,
King retires.
Mark Queen.
Mark Queen, yeah, it's a different bloke. Mark King retires, and the whole thing went into overload, and basically it was just full of messages. People go, I can't believe it. I don't know. He's given up. He's given up. Oh. And what had caused this to happen was someone had either gone to the base center or someone from the base center had messaged someone to say they now had a huge amount of his X gear. So basses, amps, speakers. I don't think there was anything else. I think it was just all that. So this tied in with the clear out that he had, not physically, obviously. There's an interview on the channel here, and I'll put a link in the description box when I do the links tomorrow, where he talked about the fact they went to John Henry's where they had a retaining cage for gear and stuff, and they were paying a fortune for it, but they weren't on tour. The band didn't exist anymore. And so when he went in and looked at the figures of what it was costing, it was something like $5,000 a year. He said, but we're not even a band. We're not even a band anymore. And it was full of gear, basses, amps, speakers. And also I think he'd either sold his house, the big place on the Isle of Wight, and was downsizing, or they were in the process of doing it. So clearly he thought, well, I'm not going to need all of these basses. So what he did was he called up Barry at the bass center and asked them to sell a load of his stuff. So I'm guessing Barry gave him a fixed amount of money. So Mark then said, right, well, there's the basses and the gear. You do what you want with it. Or it was a commission thing, and the bass center sold the stuff and then they split the money with Mark. I don't know what the full story there was. But anyway, this had then caused all the Level 42 fans to go into utter uproar about what was going on. So I called the bass center and I was like, what's going on? And they said, well, we've got a load of his gear here. I said, well, what have you got? And they gave me kind of a list. And at the time I was working part-time, but that week I was in every day at work. And I was like, I bet by the time I get to the bass center, there'll be nothing left. So they gave me this list and I was like, right, well, I better start pooling my money from the bank account, because I'd like to buy something from here, but I just don't know what I'm going to be able to afford and what's going to be left. So on the Saturday, I went down there. I got on the earliest tube I could to make sure I was there when the place opened. And it was already open when I got there. They'd probably been open about 5 minutes or so. And I met Rob Steen. He was there. He'd got in there before me. So he was buying an Empathy. And I've got a photo of that Empathy, funnily enough.
Did the Jaydees go in the function as well?
There were no Jaydees there. There was no Jaydees. He didn't put any Jaydees up for sale. Anything that he'd had, other than the red one that he's got, obviously, and the Calibas birthday bass, all of the others had gone. The only one that went up was the White Star Child.
Right. And we
Well, we know who has that. He does. Although it took a long-winded journey to get back to him. So here's the Empathy that you've seen this, because I posted this up before. Where is that picture? So this is the Status Empathy that Rob bought, and I played it, and it was outstanding, and I really wanted it. But he was like, no, this is mine. I'm buying it. I'm having it. And I was like, okay, fair enough. I can't. But I played it, and it was fabulous. And there was two alembics there. And again, I don't know what had been sold earlier in the week, but I know the 5-string StingRay was bought by Jerry Meehan from Robbie Williams's band, although he wasn't Robbie Williams's bass player at that time. And Mark had signed the bass somewhere, and basically Jerry scrubbed that off, but he ended up with the 5-string. Alex Carter had bought the 4-string Matrix with a Cocobolo top and Red Star LEDs. And I don't know who ended up with other things. John Randall eventually bought the Series 1 maple alembic. There was a 4-string Cocobolo long scale, which was obviously the forerunner to the medium scales that he had. Rob had bought this Empathy. The 5-string Empathy from Town and Country Club was there. I played it. It was horrible. I did nothing for me. Didn't sound great. Didn't play great. The Wal MIDI bass was there. Wal MIDI bass was there. Again, played that. Didn't see the point. It just didn't sound great. And in the back of my head, I was thinking, well, if any of the technology goes wrong on this, where do I go to get it fixed?
PV.
Because well, all the MIDI stuff. Did PV do the MIDI stuff for those walls? I'm not sure they did.
Well,
Because
whoever designed the circuit for the MIDI, actually PV, I think, purchased it, and then they had that. What was that thing
that would
called?
be about right. So this
Yeah,
was 97. So Wall did that MIDI bass in 88, 89. And the tracking was in the frets.
right.
It was a weird thing. And I just always remember, if something happens to this or it gets damaged or whatever, where do I go to get it fixed? And I thought, well, you don't know. But anyway, there was nothing about that bass made me want to buy it. And then Nick at the bass center said, how about the StingRay? I was like, I didn't know you had one. He said, yeah. So this got pulled out of a case, wasn't on display. It was in a case at the back. He said, there you go. And I knew instantly that was what had been used on Guaranteed and Forever Now. Didn't know it had been used on Trash because Trash hadn't even come out. But there was nothing special about this. It's just a 3-band EQ 1989-1990 StingRay, gloss neck and fingerboard, dents all over the body section, just where the neck joins the body on the upper bout. There were loads of little dings where the bass had been rested up against something and obviously got knocked like 7 or 8 times. The foam mutes had been ripped off, and it came with Trace Elliot 3090 strings. That was it. But it played great, sounded great. I used it for 5 years, loved it. Wish I still had it. I thought I could just buy another StingRay and it would be the same. No, it's not the case at all. And I sold it to Morgan in 2002, and it funded me moving to EBS amplification and allowed me to get my first ISA set up, and that was that, really.
You go.
But I don't regret it. Lovely bass. I've got other basses. I've got another StingRay now. Part of me always thinks, it'd be lovely to have it back, but at the time, Mark wasn't, in 2002, Mark wasn't selling huge numbers of tickets. No one knew he was going to reinvent the Level 42 brand. If I had it now and sold it, yeah, I'd get a lot more money, but it was what it was at the time. And you can't always look back and think, well, if I kept hold of it, I'd have got more. Yeah, you say that about anything, couldn't you?
Nope.
So,
Nope. I did that with walls.
say again?
I did that with the wall bases because I had 6 of them,
Right.
and of course now I sold straight off, kicked them around, whatever. When they were just starting to come up on the rise with all those people who were talking about the mystique of wow. Okay, well that's but if I had them now, we'd be doing something different.
Very true. Very true. Yeah, we
Indeed.
would.
Yes, indeed. So yeah, there you can't go back once it's gone unless you just happen to know where you got it.
Mm,
No worries, forget it.
yeah. So yeah, so that's the story of that bass. Let's have a look. Let's see what else. You got any preferences? What would you like me to pull up from my collection?
You're not asking me, are you?
I am asking you. Pick a brand. Pick a brand. Let's have a look. I'll give you options. Okay, we've got Alembic, we've got Aria, we've got Fenders, obviously. GBs, we've got Jaydee, well, there's only one to talk about there. We've got Kabikis, Lodestones, Music Man, Spectre, Squire, there's a couple of statuses, obviously. Actually, there's a lot of statuses. T-bases, Washburns, Yamaha. Then there's just all sorts of other bits and bobs. Lots of them.
The T-base was made by Status, wasn't it?
Say that again.
I said the T-base was made by Status, wasn't it?
T-base was made by Status. So on last week's live chat, here we go. Let me pull this up. So people always go, oh, I don't quite get the whole thing with the T-base. Right, so here we go. Waiting for it. It's spinning. Come on. There was an issue with your file. Right, okay. We'll try it again then, shall we? It could be the scan is too big. Let's see if that one goes. I don't think it's going to like that one either. Nope. Okay, so I was trying to put up the scans from the original bassist magazine of that bass being reviewed. So let me just get a visual of the bass. Yeah, that'll do it. Don't tell me StreamYard's now going to... Oh, no. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. So that's the T-bass. So that was on last week's live chat. So that bass... so basically, they made 15 4-strings, 15 5-strings. It had a tortoiseshell plate. I'll show you another picture. But I replaced the tortoiseshell scratch plate because it warped like crazy. So originally, it looked like this. There you go. So I had the tortoiseshell plate, but it all started buckling around the edge.
Yep.
So that now resides in a padded envelope to my right-hand side. And instead, I went to that. So it's got like a black and white perloid plate. And so they made 15 4-strings and 15 5-strings to commemorate the 15th anniversary of Trace Elliot. Designed by Mark Gooday with Rob Green. Built by Status. This is the forerunner to the Lodestone basses that were made by Ashdown in late 2000s. The premise of the Lodestone was to take all of these wonderful design aspects in this bass and add on ceramic frets and ceramic bridge saddles so that they didn't wear down. And after pouring something around, and I could be wrong, but I'm sure Mark Gooday told me it was around 120 grand into the research of that, the only part of it they maintained was ceramic bridge saddles. So he poured all this money into the technology and then decided it wasn't going to happen. And lo and behold, I had one, two, three. I had 4 of these in 10 years ago. I had 4 of them. And 2 of them, the ceramic bridge saddles split and broke. So it didn't work. So you had to buy new saddle pieces if you could, or if not, new monorail bridge units. So the T-bass existed only as a thing for Trace Elliot to give out to their favourite distributors and artists, and there were only 30 of them. And they kind of just disappeared. You couldn't buy them. But then they produced a production model a year later, so the actual body is more slab-like on the production models. This green model, is kind of more rounded, more curved. It's a comfier bass to play and wear. But generally, the design stayed the same. There wasn't too many changes. It's super hot. The output is like seriously off the scale. And I came to own it because a guy... So the one I had was seafoam green. Let me give you a picture. Very fetching looking thing. And I bought this in 2000. Autumn 2000. Here we go. We want that. So I bought this in autumn 2000 from the Bass Centre. So seafoam green, perloid plate. Very nice, very good, loved it. But I wanted another one with a maple fingerboard. Always into maple fingerboards for some reason. And a guy posted up that he had a T-bass green, so I assumed it was seafoam green, with a maple neck. And that was kind of it. That was the description. The price was very good. And I thought, right, okay, well, I know what I paid for the Seafoam Green. So if he's selling it for this price, I'm quids in. So I went to meet him at Canary Wharf, and he was there, base was there. And little did I know, he hadn't mentioned it in the advert and probably accounted for why it was so cheap. He had a thing for wearing thumb rings on his fretting hand, and he basically chewed up the back of the neck. There was a fag burn on the headstock. He'd taken a black marker and drew a line on where the headstock has the tuners. There's like a 3D beveled edge, and he'd run a black marker down it for some weird reason. Various dings and bangs all over the body. And I said, why are you getting rid of it? And he said, oh, I'm getting some LEDs for a Warwick I've got. I was like, okay. Now, as soon as he pulled this out of the bag, I realised this isn't the Seafoam Green. This is one of those limited models. And clearly, it hasn't got a maple fingerboard, but he hadn't. All he'd said was it had a maple neck. Well, yeah, it's got a maple neck, but no maple fingerboard. And but I knew what I was looking at, so I bought it, got it home. Actually, took it to the base centre because I was just down the road and got them to check it over. And they said, you're aware the sort of brass fixing plates on the bridge saddles are cracked, so you're going to need to replace those. And one of the front pickup, the neck pickup was microphonic, so they eventually had to go back to status to have that changed and have some setup work. And Rob reshaved the neck and lacquered it. But it's great. It's amazing. It sounds super hot. Love playing it. Don't use it that much these days, but I might bring it out. And it's a cracking bass. Cracking bass. But you don't see that actual model. I haven't seen one come up secondhand probably for about 20 years.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
I saw a 5-string one go for sale on eBay in America, probably about 2004, I think. But I've not seen another 4-string for a long, long time. So they're out there somewhere. People have got them, probably, again, stashed away in cases. If you've got one of the original ones in a Trace Elliot case with the certificate, I don't know what they're going to be worth. I don't know. I mean, that 5-string I saw in 2004 went for something like 1,700 quid. But again, I wouldn't know what state the scratch plate was in now. I would imagine it's probably all of them have buckled a bit. They're single ply. They're not like 3-ply. But there we go. So that's the story of the T-Bass. And then Status had the production models. They carried on being a thing until about 1999. Then they were taken out of the circulation in the Status catalogue. And then they came back in 2008 with a graphite necked version. And that's kind of what led on to Mark using them in 2018. After he'd done Gizmodrome. Well, 2017 he started using T-basses. He'd done the King bass thing to death. This was a model Status needed to have pushed a bit, so you might as well give it to Mark King and let him do his thing with it. So he used it for Gizmodrome, used it on the Level 42 shows up until COVID, and as far as I'm aware, hasn't been seen using one for a good long while. But great basses. Jerry Blair, good to see you. Jamie Millard, you're eating. There we are. So yeah, that's the T-bass story as far as I know it. And actually that bass that's there on screen, I lent to Mark Gooday in autumn 2006. It came back to me about 2 months later, and he'd taken that bass to Czechoslovakia, Czech Republic, to the factory where the Spectre Euros are made, because they are the people that produce the Lodestones, and he needed an original 4-string. He had a 5, or he had access to a 5, but he needed one of the 4s in order to get the dimensions and the beveled headstock and all those things. So he borrowed mine.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
Yeah.
That's the story. Sad but true.
Hmm?
And it's still here. I haven't done a gig with it in... It used to be my backup when I did the Green Day shows.
Hmm.
There were a couple of songs in that set that we changed the had drop tuning, and I didn't want to have to keep fimmicking around with the Fender, so that would be the backup just for quickness. And we put those two songs that had tuning changes together, so you could take the Fender off, use the T bass, do those, put that back, Fender for the rest of the gig. Here we go. There you are.
You're back from Peterborough.
Say that again. Your sound is dropping in and out.
It's better now?
That's better.
Okay, so I said you're back from Peterborough.
Back from Peterborough. Yeah, that was a very good day. Very good. Sad. I didn't feel emotional because I felt like I'd done all of that
Mm-hmm.
a couple of weeks earlier, and they made great use of his videos, like we did here on the live chat on the remembrance thing.
Oh, yes.
Loads of his videos, loads of his pictures, and you know, there were people there crying their eyes out, but they hadn't seen all that stuff. I'd seen it all, so I'd kind of adjusted to hearing his voice and what have you. But it was just inspiring, the amount of people that came out. I've not seen a funeral quite like that. 500 people, easy.
Right.
And apparently behind me to the sides, there were people standing, which I didn't see, obviously, because I was sat down looking forward. But yeah, just and then when you went to the wake afterwards, and they had a venue called the Crescent booked, so it was 2 rooms. So you got kind of like this entrance room with a bar and food and what have you, and then the off room was this huge, like a gymnasium with a stage, and everyone could sit in there and eat their food and drink and what have you, and that was packed as well. It was just really good, really good. A good send off for a great guy, you know.
Yep.
It was
No question.
very impressive.
Yes, indeed.
There we go.
Yep.
There we go. So what's happening with you? What's the news?
Well, let's see. Today, first off, hello all. Let's start there, shall we?
I gave you a long lead in.
Right. Let's see. So we're going to hang out here for a bit, and then I've got an interview with the metal band at a couple hours away.
Nice.
So, yeah, we're going to be getting together, he and I, and sit that. It's going to be kind of a podcast thing. But I'm trying to work out. As I told you off the side, I'm trying to work out a visit across the pond. So
right.
I because something kind of ties in with what Allison said, something about a musical celebration of our good brother sometime here. So I'm trying to pony up and see if I can hop a jet across the pond and, you know, visit with everyone. Maybe we'll have a curry. You know.
All right. Do you have any did she give you any indication about when in the year? Because when people do this and they say we're going to do something later in the year, and then it sort of gets it's an empty, well, what, early summer, midsummer, late summer, autumn?
Right. Not say anything just yet. I haven't asked either. I figured that, you know, after the weekend, you know, give her some time.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, if I can come across the pond, I think we should have a big old party. Not because I'm coming, we can all get together and hang out and have a good time.
Yeah.
So
very much so.
You know, and
very much so.
If, you know, there's going to be a musical thing, I'm going to ask her if I can use one of his Jaydees.
Right.
That way I don't have to carry anything across, even though it won't be pink. That doesn't matter because I'm not coming for that.
I think you'll live. Yeah. I think you'll live.
I've got enough right here to make that work, you know.
That's it.
Right.
Okay.
So,
well, we'll see. We'll see when she announces it.
Right. It also might be worth a trip to Brum just for me now. See the guy. I haven't been there yet.
So I'll
that
join you on that. I've never been there either.
Oh yeah, you know, we could have some fun with that. So
exactly.
Possibility. I don't know the distance from Peterborough to Brum, but I'm sure, you know, there's a way.
It's not. You're just going west, really. Let's have a look here. I'll tell you. It
All right.
can't be more than about 60, 70 miles, I don't think.
Which isn't a lot, really. That's like an hour. Or
Oh, yeah.
depends on how fast you
Hang on.
drive.
Here we go. Well, if you're driving with me, it'll be about 20 minutes. I'm joking,
Lovely.
of course.
Okay,
Constable. It is, well, no, it's a little longer, apparently. It's about 85 miles, so hour and 30.
right. So I'll have to.
Depending which way you go. I didn't see. I never equate Peterborough being as high up as it is, but it is. It's 90 miles for me from home, and Birmingham generally is about 100. So I
Yeah.
didn't. I'm just looking on a Google map, and Peterborough is actually higher up than Birmingham.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
Right.
There you go.
I'll have to get lodging.
Oh yeah.
I'll have to get lodging sorted and all that stuff because I'm already
That's
thinking
it.
about
Well,
all.
stick a hammock up in the woods, you know.
Right.
Put a hose out there and a broom for having a shower, and you'd be laughing.
Right.
We'll see. Wait until we've got dates and we know what's cracking on.
Right, and then we'll move it. Yep.
That's it. I mean, it might be they choose to hold the thing for Nick on a bank holiday Monday.
That'd be lovely.
In August, there's one at the end of August, so the weather generally is okay, and yeah, bank holiday Monday. So you have a long weekend.
Sure. Because I'd only be along for a couple of days, and then I'd have to come back. So
yeah.
So wouldn't be for a couple of weeks or something. Just be a couple of days in and out. Hello,
I'm here.
Curry.
Bye.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Well, that's it. Let's see what date they start looking at, and we'll take it from there. Good. So gig tonight?
Tonight, no. Actually, my Saturdays are usually pretty open. I keep them open just in case because I get the last minute calls on Saturdays. Fridays are usually contained, and Sundays are contained. And I usually try to keep Saturday just free. So,
gotcha.
And I get to be freebie tonight. So somebody says, "Hey, have you got something doing?" I can just pick up.
Gotcha.
On that.
Very good. And church stuff tomorrow?
Oh yes. Yep.
Okay. 3 or 4?
2 tomorrow.
Oh, 2. Okay, you're reducing in number.
Well, that'll just give me an excuse to have to go curry right after the second one.
Yeah. Getting early.
Well, my favorite place. If you decide to swim this way sometime, I will be certain to take you to one place. There's a guy. I'm trying to remember where he's from specifically. His name is Paul Gunn. I may have mentioned him before. He and his wife came out for holiday, came this way, and he was actually here to attend a friend's wedding. And he said while he was here, he brought me a level 42 shirt from the tour.
Oh, nice man.
Cheers, man. And so I spotted him on the curry, and I said, "I've got the spot. I'll pick you and your lady up, and we will attend." And so I had everything prepared, and then of course, I grabbed lunch, and so he loved it. He said, "I can't get this in the UK." I'm like, well, okay. So it was bang on. It was bang on.
Very good.
Yep. So that's the spots,
Yeah.
and they of course do have specials for those who do not consume the beef.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got you covered there as well.
Very good.
Yes, indeed.
Quite right.
Right. Yeah,
well, we had a cracker actually the other week for Valentine's. There's a new, not new, but there was one particular Indian restaurant in Gerrard's Cross, and they've changed branding. I don't know if it's different people owning it or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd always used another place, but their prices had gone through the roof. As lovely as it was, just ridiculously high prices, and we were like, got to find somewhere else. And anyway, we tried this place, and we put an order in. I thought we were I thought we ordered a lot, and yet the price wasn't even close to the hyper expensive place. And we got 3 days of meal out of it. It was just so much. I was like, wow,
Nice.
okay, this is actually better than the super expensive place. This will be our place of choice from now on. So
Hmm.
Sizzler in Gerrard's Cross, outstanding.
There you
We
go.
were really impressed. Yeah.
All right. Well, this place,
Night. I was
go
going
on.
to say it's nice when you find somewhere new, and it absolutely exceeds what your expectation was. I was like, well, it could either go one or two ways here. It's
Right.
either going to be floating in oil, and you end up with that smell and taste in your sinuses for days, or it's not, and it wasn't, and it was like, oh, great, okay, and it wasn't floating in oil.
Ah, nice, nice.
Very good.
This one, they have a daily buffet, and they make everything fresh. And
That's what you want.
it's 16 for a person.
$16.
$16.
Bargainous.
Yep.
Bargainous.
You can go in and
That's $16 would be one main course.
right. Well, see, I tried the buffet when they opened, but of course, I'm the Vindaloo guy. So
Of course.
they have 3 different cooks, and they always come out to check to make sure that they made what.
Very good.
Yeah. Lovely guy.
You're easy to spot. You're easy to spot, you see.
I can't
There's
imagine.
no... Yeah. You'd be no use as a ninja.
No, well, I mean, ninja in pink. They think we're a Ponzi hair.
A ninja in a pink suit.
Right.
Imagine.
Yeah. Today,
Mm-mm.
Ponzi hairdresser ninja. No.
That's it. Well,
Right. No.
you'd look like an extra out of Squid Game.
Right. Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, but that's open invite for anybody who comes across the pond. I just need to know, and I will arrange,
Mm-hmm.
because
Good man.
they prepare things for me that nobody else gets.
There you go. See?
Yeah.
You
The
get
owner's
the special
yeah.
service.
The owner's mom hooks me up with all the good, lovely stuff that nobody else gets.
There you go.
Yep. So
That's the special treatment. That is.
indeed. Well,
Mm-hmm.
so whenever you're ready, if I come first and I come that way first, it's all good. We'll do something there, and I'll see it. I'll put them to the test.
There you go. That's
Right.
it.
Right.
Super duper.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in town tonight. I've got the request show.
Okay.
Coming my way. Haven't decided what I'm taking yet. I think some variety would be a good thing. I don't know.
So the
Tempted
variety.
to take a Spectre out. I'm tempted to take a Spectre out. Haven't done that
Okay.
for a while.
Sure. Well,
Um,
is it the variety show where you're gonna they kind of call things from the crowd, or is it a designed list?
There's no design at all. It could be anything.
Nice.
It could be absolutely anything.
Nice.
And that's why it's like there's no point doing any prep, because I don't know what I could spend 8 hours learning songs and we don't play any of them, which is actually what happened the first couple of gigs I did this, where I did a load of prep, thought, right, learn big hits, things that seem fairly obvious you're going to get asked to do. Didn't get any of them. Either got things that I've played years ago and had forgotten but very quickly remembered, or things that I knew the song and knew of the song, but I'd never learnt the bass line. You've got to cobble it together. You've got to somehow get it together.
Right.
And but it's not a case of having super duper bass chops. It's a case of musically, knowing the arrangement. What is, verse, chorus, middle eight? Is there another chorus? Is there and then playing something that works within the rest of the band. I've never rehearsed with any of these people.
Sure.
I've done, before this request show, I did 2 function gigs with this band lineup, and that was it. That was it. So it's not even like it's a bunch of guys who I play regularly with. I don't. And now actually on this show we have 2 of us for every spot. And on the last show I met a guitarist I'd never met in my life. He did a great job, really good, great job, lovely guy. But you just don't know what's going to fly your way. Anything could happen. And some of the requests are very off the wall, and it's like totally out of keeping with what the vibe in the place is, and you just have to go, no, we're not doing that.
Oh boy.
And you get a few of those. You know, it's like I always say, it's fine doing things that are a little bit different, but don't do stuff that's so blatantly no one is going to know this. You're just picking a really rare sort of song to be a smart
Mhm.
ass. So let's not do that. Play stuff that's going to keep the place dancing and people in here spending money. Because if you clear the bar by playing something that's very off the wall, you know, if someone said, let's play Supper's Ready by Genesis,
Oh
it's going to
yes.
clear the place. Now, prog lovers, yeah, we'll sit and listen to it, but a bunch of 22-year-old girls who are out for a hen do are not going to want to get up and dance to Supper's Ready for 23 minutes. You know, it's not going to
Mm-mm.
happen.
Or
So
Giltrap,
you have to be sensible.
right? Anything from Gordon Giltrap is not going to get played.
I don't think so.
Uh,
Not on my gig. No,
not,
no.
nothing
But
against him.
I have to say the front man who does the piano playing and what have you, he's a good curator, and he knows what's going to work and what doesn't. Generally. So there've been a couple of times we've done things that's been like, you know, might be able to pull this one off, or we might not. And sometimes it works okay, sometimes it doesn't. But if it doesn't, it's quite good to just do a verse, chorus, end. We'll end there, and we'll go into the next one very quickly.
Or
So
worst case
that's
scenario,
generally what happens.
take a middle 8 and make it a middle 24 so they can dance.
There's that. But if something's not working, then we know to start saying next song. Right? Yeah, fine. Right, okay. And we'll go da 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 da, ba 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 ba, and we're into the next thing. So
Right.
that's what can work. That's what can work.
So I
Certainly.
need to know when, if you're taking out the Jaydee on one of these gigs. I need
No,
footage of
that's
that
not
one.
going anywhere for the moment because I've got to put in those replacement bridge screws, which I still haven't done. And the
Right, right.
screws are right here. So I've workshop hopefully this week. I did 2 days of workshop last week. Didn't get round to that. The GBs took precedence because they're going to be coming out on gigs very shortly. But the
Sure.
Jaydee needs to be restrung, cleaned up, a bit of fettling, and until I put those replacement bridge saddle screws in, it can't be set up. So
Right.
it'll get there.
I have confidence
Oh, there you go.
in you.
See,
There you go. Yeah,
there
yeah.
she is. All
Mm-hmm.
safe, all looked after. Gets a clean, gets a wipe down every week. But yeah, the G string saddle and the D string saddle, both of them have got a screw that's not turning. So
It
let's
happened.
be fair; those are probably the two strings that get adjusted the most on a Jaydee because you're constantly, or previous owners probably have been wanting to lower actions, and then they've got it down, you know,
Mm-hmm.
multiple turns, raising and lowering and raising, and eventually, because they're not very wide Allen key holes on those, they're quite small. So the actual Allen key itself doesn't, you know, the edges aren't that pronounced. So eventually you strip it and you got to get some new screws in there. I don't think they've seized, they just weren't turning.
Mm. That means you got to go in from the bottom and you've got to take a pair of grips or pliers and twist them out.
Pretty much. Either that
Yep.
or I'll do something with like a very tightly wound piece of gaffer tape to see if I can get the old Allen key to sit in there and just get some
Mm-hmm.
adhesion to it, and I'll flush it through with WD-40 and let it all do its thing
There
and
you
get them
go.
out.
Mm-hmm.
Happy days.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
what's the bass news? What's happening with you bass wise
So
in the last week?
I did 3 songs. One for a guy in France, one for a guy in Scotland, and one for a guy in California.
Right.
And so
Very
it's
nice.
just, I get things from all across, you know. I mean, for one reason or another, there's always I'm always welcoming people sending stuff because, you know, I'm pretty, what's the word? Oh, the brain's not working this morning because the body went.
It's all right.
brain's the brain's muddled this morning, but I am manageable on rates, shall we say? So we're not giving it to everybody going, okay, come on, um, I'm pretty straightforward, easy with stuff, and I get a lot of work. So I'm very thankful for all that, because that's just that. I always find it fascinating. I know you and I have spoken about this before, but I'm always fascinated by new artists and what their vision is for what they're trying to do. And as much as I like going down, listening to bands I haven't listened to for a while, which, by the way, this week was Talk Talk, in case you're wondering.
I did. Yeah,
Yeah.
I gathered.
There, what's so funny, just on a side, what's so funny about that is that guy Paul Webb, I mean, he played fretless for the first like 2 albums. It was that Kramer aluminum thing. And it has a certain tone to it. It's a P bass with metal, basically, but his smooth sound was always nice. And it's kind of funny, and I know I've said this before as well. Martin Sims, and I told you this, has called me an Anglophile so many times, because I tend to fancy more British players than I do American. There's a few exceptions, of course, but so because the style and the ideal is different, and so I tend to go. My ears go across the pond, and I'm listening for what everybody's doing. And the fretless sound that came out of the 80s, besides Pinot, of course, was really quite fascinating, because it was full, rich, kind of full-bodied sound, and it didn't matter what bass or what style, but it just had something to it that was nice.
So much of, certainly up until about 85, 86, a lot of the fretless stuff, certainly from UK, would have been very easy for people to see Jacko, having done it in the mid to late 70s, and gone, oh, right, we'll do it on a jazz. So many of what the players you've just mentioned, and the all of that fretless bass playing, how few use the jazz as their fretless.
Right.
The amount of different basses, Walls, Jaydees, John Taylor did a little bit of fretless on an aria on Rio. You got likes of Mark Egan using Padulas.
Sure.
There were quite a few status fretlesses out that time. A lot of players using precisions as well, precision fretless.
Indeed.
The maple fingerboard. So, it would have been very easy for people to jump on the Jacko bus and rip the frets out of their jazz, but so few of the players were actually doing that. They were using other brands. So that's why you ended up with this, the thick, a Jaydee fretless is not going to sound like a jazz fretless.
At all.
That thick, woody, like that low barking mid-range to make it stand out. And then you get jazz players trying to emulate that, and you can't. It's a different thing. It's like trying to emulate a Pinot StingRay tone on a jazz. It's a
not happening.
Not different voicing.
Yeah, and I've found that. Everybody knows what Pinot has done. Of course, everybody from Paul Young to whoever. But even since you were referring to the King, even he used fretless on a couple of bits in the level 42 stuff in the 90s.
Well, that was the moon bass that he was. I think he was given it when they did something in Japan, and it had sat on his wall and done nothing. So he needed a fretless sound, so he just ripped the frets out. That was one of the basses that went to the bass center. So there was a guy on the digest, the email digest and the web digest, called Don Ziff, ZIPF, and he bought that. He had the Moon fretless, and he also had a GB Classic before they were called a Spitfire, and it was in a red quilted maple top, and he called that bass Ruby. I don't know what happened to the fretless after he died. I don't know if his family sold it or it's still there in the family, but that's one of the historic level 42 basses that's just kind of disappeared into the ether. Going to quickly hold that thought. We'll come back to the fretless thing. DL42, good to see you. I don't recognize you, but very welcome here on the channel. I'm going to put your question up. Hi all, my local music shop has quoted 20% for putting a bass up for sale for me. Does that sound reasonable? Yes. The general rule of thumb here in the UK, I don't know if you're here in the UK, but here in the UK, as far as I'm aware, Bass Direct and Bass Brothers charge 20%. And I think the gallery charge 15%, the gallery being in Camden here in London. I think the gallery charge 15% plus VAT, but I could be wrong. But if you go to each of those retailers and just check on the selling my instrument section of their websites, you will see what the fees are. Usually for your money, that covers them displaying it, insuring it for shipping, sending to a customer who's buying it. When the money comes through from the customer, they take their cut and you get what's left. Should I try it elsewhere? Not in. If you're in the UK, 20% is what you're not. The only place that is cheaper is the gallery, and again, the bass will need to be at the gallery for them to display it, to sell it. But for your 20%, you are tapping into that music shop. If it's a music shop as opposed to a bass retailer, if they have an online website, then great, you're tapping into their customer base. If they don't have a website or it is just a local music shop, I would suggest you put your bass in with one of the other big three. So it's Bass Direct in Leamington Spa, Bass Brothers in Leamington Spa, very close to Bass Direct, or the Gallery in Camden. Those are your three big options. You can go to other places, but you aren't tapping into their global, and I say global with a lot of emphasis, because if you've got a good bass, you put it in with one of those three, basically their customers around the world will be seeing your instrument, not just Joe Public from the local area. You know nothing about selling as you're usually buying. I know that feeling. But yes, that would be my suggestion. So you haven't told me where you are in the UK, but if you go with one of those three, if it's a desirable, put teeth in. Oi, oi. I tell you, never buy teeth from a catalogue.
Too much cake.
That's it. Not enough cake, I'd say.
Huh?
But you are tapping into their customer database. Basically, that's what you're paying for. But if it's a valuable bass, say it's a wall, you're basically going to get a good price on something like that. If it's a cheap Ibanez or a Yamaha, you'd probably be better off selling it yourself, maybe. I don't know. It just depends what bass you're trying to sell and how desirable it is in the current market.
And if it's a Jaydee,
Well, the man here's the man you need to be speaking to, really. But at the moment, Jaydees will fly out the door if
very
you're
quickly.
talking about a Jaydee. If it's the Aria that's in your picture, Aria SB bases, there are collectors out there. If it's in good condition, desirable, you'll get a good price. Again, once you kind of get above sort of 600, 700 pounds, then selling via one of these retailers and paying the 20% commission is worthwhile. If your base is like £600 to £700 or less, I wouldn't bother. I'd just do it yourself. And actually, the store will probably say to you, do it yourself, because we're not going to make enough on commission to validate the work required. But if it's over £1,000 or more, it's worth doing it. You haven't got to deal with tire kickers coming around to check it out. They'll do it in the store.
And if you're on this side,
yeah, I don't know what the deal in America is. So
honestly, well, the thing is most of the shops over here, there's only a handful that do consignments, because most folks are just popping them out on Talkbase or on Facebook Marketplace or what have you. And
Reverb.
Reverb. And they're selling them straight through. eBay doesn't happen too much anymore. Over here, kind of a cesspool point. But for nice instruments, there are places. If you're on this side of the pond in America, that is, I can suggest a place to you right here in Tennessee. It's called the Low End Bass Shop. And the guy there is Barrett. He's quite fair. He's also probably 15 to 20%, is his take, for the same reasons that Mike described. So, yeah.
Juice just made a point. He's bought and sold through Bass Chat, as have I. I've bought. I tend not to sell. I just buy and keep. That's generally. Yes, Bass Chat's very good. You'll need to pay I think there's like a small membership fee if you want to sell. It never used to be, but there is. And that goes towards the running of base chat and what have you. Very good online forum community. So have a go on there as well. If you want to check that out, just have a look on their site to see how things buy and sell on there.
I purchased things from Base Chat UK back years ago.
Yeah.
That's where the pink work.
Yeah, it's usually pretty good. There have been a few rogue sellers on there. They've usually got dealt with fairly quickly. So, but I've bought quite a few actually. Let's think.
While you're looking through there, give me a moment to escape the shiny metal box and be into the studio in a moment.
I'll do that. I think I've bought probably about 4 or 5 of my bases have come off Base Chat over the years. 1 or 2 went and sort of came in and went. We'll just mute his microphone when he comes back.
Go.
There we go. But yeah, DL42. Well, I had not thought of that. Yeah, Base Chat. I mean, you can go down Facebook Marketplace as well if you want. But again, you're going to get tire kickers. Is this still available? And then they'll offer you like a third of what you want. It's up to you. What are you selling? What are you trying to move on? I could probably give you a rough idea, give you a ballpark figure of what you're probably going to get. See if I can give you some heads up on it. Let me know. If anyone wants to join in live like Jamie did, feel free. You just need to email me. There's a ticker on the bottom of the screen. Email me at brooksysbasecorner@gmail.com. I'll send you an invite. You click on the invite and you come in live.
Away we go.
You're back in your den.
I am.
Excellent.
You mentioned something about maple fingerboards. I know I've shown you this, but since you like maple so much.
That's all right. Yeah. It's a different thing for fretless.
This guy.
So often it's it's lovely that. So often people are using darkwood fingerboards and yes, different tone and what have you. But a maple fingerboard, if it's done right and the lacquer is good, that whole polyurethane thing with Padula was a good thing. I mean, the notes just jump off on their buzz bases. But maple fingerboard, if like I say, if the lacquering is really good, very hard, it's a totally different fretless tone.
It is.
That almost bypasses what the electronics package is.
Right. Well, this is the first Jaydee that's had a maple fretless fingerboard, according to the Diggins guys.
Yeah.
So, I was fascinated because they use ebony for just about everything. The other one, all the ones I've had have had ebony, and ebony being such a lovely dark tone wood that it is, I wanted something different, and of course, this thing has its own unique sound. To your point.
How's the how long has that fingerboard been lacquered? How's it holding up?
It's been about a year, and I use rounds, so
chewed it up.
It hasn't chewed it up.
That's the acid test. But then again, are you playing it a lot? Like most fretless players, if they play fretless, that's their one bass that they're going to literally woodshed on constantly. Is that a bass that you pick up maybe once or twice a week?
So yeah, because I use it for session work.
Okay.
So it's I don't know. I've taken it out. I've actually played it live, which throws everybody off because nobody expects me to come out going, look, no teeth,
Yeah.
And I always like to try something new, that's because it's something different. So to your question, I take it out a bunch and I play it a bunch.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I
Well,
had
we'll ask that question again in about 6 months, and you can
there
give
you
me an
go.
update on the quality of the lacquer.
Oh yeah, I had one that was sent in to me from UK. It was an '86, and it was an ebony bound fingerboard, fretboard, and it had right up between C and D, it had a nice gouge
Ah,
where the strings had just literally laid into the ebony, and
wow.
I couldn't do much with it other than possibly swap the fingerboard out because it was deep.
Mm,
I was going to try to have it planed and have it removed, and it would mess up the binding and do all that. So I just kind of left it the way it was, and I knew when I played that particular note in the first position that it was going to be wow. So
mm.
I try to work around that note quickly or tap that note quick and do all the funny stuff around playing higher.
So did you sell it?
And I actually swapped it to someone. I'm trying to remember who now. That one, I can't remember where that one went. I think it actually went back to the UK now that I think about it, because there was a guy that I got it from, and he greatly distressed himself by flipping it.
I beg your
And
pardon.
so, right, yeah, he distressed himself. He was just he was not excited about the fact that he let it go, and so when he saw that I was going to be parting
Right.
with it,
Well, that saved you the work then.
it did, and I mean, it was really a lovely instrument. Mike Diggins told me he remembers being 18 years old and polishing that one when
Mm,
I first spending time with them, and it was a lovely bass. It was a Series 2 with a little groove in the front and all that kind of thing. So
mm.
yeah.
Ah, Jaydee stories aplenty.
Oh yes. Well, I mean, I've got Fender stories, I've got Rickenbacker stories, I've got
Mm,
Wall stories.
yes, you have. Kabiki stories? You got any Kabiki stories there?
Actually, I've never owned one, but I have played a few.
Right.
So
Interesting.
yeah, I mean, if you put the brand out there, especially an American brand, I've probably had at least one, with the exception of Federa, because I could never bring myself to throw that
Mm,
much dosh at a bass.
yeah.
No, no.
Yes. DL42. What was the base? We're waiting for a response.
Right.
We will try and help you. Give
Yes,
you
indeed.
a heads up here. Let us know.
Indeed.
Yeah. So there we
Uh-huh.
are.
It's
So
good.
my diary starts kicking in shortly. Well, kind of. I think next week's just the one gig. After that, so as I said at the top of the live chat, I've got 3 on the run in the middle of March. Got Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. 2 different Queen Band gigs and an Uncle Funk show. So from that point, the diary starts flying a little. I think we're back up to sort of 2. Let me have a quick look. March, here we go. Yeah, back up 2 gigs a week. Apart from the last week in March, I've got nothing that weekend at the moment. And then we get into April, and all hell starts to let loose. And we start getting very, very busy.
That's good.
And actually, I've had literally in the past 3 days, 2 gigs come in, one after the other, for the end of June. And the
Hmm.
real joy for me is one is in Oxford, which is 40 miles away. And the following night is High Wycombe, which is 15 miles away from home. I can't
Lovely.
believe that never happens. It's normally Plymouth followed by Newcastle, if I'm lucky. It's that sort of thing. But I've actually
Mhm.
got 2 that are on the M40 corridor. Literally, I can come out of my house. I'm already on the M40. I go do Oxford, come home, go to High Wycombe, come home. Very little travel that weekend. Very
Great.
pleased.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually for the ones,
Same band as well, so it's all good.
yeah, I have some that do that as well. Where usually for me, if I'm doing a run on a gig, especially for a weekend, we're going to drive on Friday, gig Saturday, drive Sunday, because they're a 12-hour ride. So
Ouch.
we make a party of it, and usually
Yeah,
usually I dibs on driving because that means I'm not in the back seat going, "Are we there yet? Are we there
that's
yet?"
right.
you know.
Yeah, that's it.
So I'll just take the wheel and we'll go. But I mean, it's like going to Florida or going to Texas, and
Mm,
we make a adventure of it. You know, we
that's it.
stop along at all the
Gig
good.
vlogs.
Oh yes,
Gig
yes,
vlogs for your channel, you see.
indeed, indeed. So I always find it. Of course, on that particular one. That's a country guy, and usually on that one, I'm also the tour director, which means that I
Hmm.
provide the spots we're going to go eat. And
Quite,
on
yeah.
those, I'm not the only curry nut on those.
You're in charge of the gourmet selection.
Right, right,
That's it.
right.
Don't pick any old rubbish.
No, no, because the artist actually likes Thai food, so he'll have a
Okay.
nice bowl of noodles, and I
Hmm.
can get them or a Penang with the spice level through the roof.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No need for a supercharger in that vehicle.
never need. Nope, nope. It's very organic in that regard. Yes,
Mm, that's it.
yes,
Nature's way.
right.
DL42, are you still there? Or have you jumped off the live chat? We need to know what your base is that you're trying to sell. We're going to try and
And
help you. If at all possible. I've started seeing photos coming through on Facebook from the bass and guitar show.
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, come on, gang. If anyone's there, they're watching the live chat. If you want to, I know Andy Travis is there. He's on the vintage bass room stand. And give us a quick guided tour of the live show. You can join in live here. Just email me, brooks'sbasscorner@gmail.com. I'll send you an invite. We'll bring you in live and you can give us a tour of what's going down. I was hoping I'd go tomorrow, but unfortunately got way too much to do and not enough hours to cram it all in, so
Nothing like a full day.
can't make it. Yeah, it's a lot of. I say it's a lot of travel. It's not. It would have been what, hour and a half, 2 hours to get there, same back, and it's.
Mm,
I don't know. I just get the impression that there's not a huge amount there. It's not like the London bass show that we used to have. It's a guitar show, and they've given a room for bass, so that's fine. But it's still 4 hours travel each way, and a lot of other shenanigans. And I've just got too much to get done at the moment. My list overfloweth
Uh,
with things that I've got to get done. So
there you go. Well,
Sundays are very important at the moment,
oh yes,
um, and we've got possibly an extension going on here at the house, and we're trying to get all the little jobs before that can start done before the big work starts. So lots of packing and moving around of furniture and what's going where and all of that stuff going off to storage. And I know if we don't get all this sorted out in advance, it's going to end up being a nightmare at the time. So trying to
yeah.
get it all done ahead of time, really.
All right. I'll keep them
Yeah.
in a couple weeks. Like I've mentioned, I think I mentioned this last week. On the 22nd of March, there is a local guitar show that takes
Mm.
over one of the arenas, and they take the bottom floor amidst all the seats and everything,
Yep.
and they line it with tables, and there's guitars and whatnot everywhere. So as
Excellent.
I did sort the internet service, and I should have no trouble live
Excellent.
banging it.
There we go. Look
So
forward to
we
that.
can move about, and I can kind of show you at that point. I'll be able to show you whoever's selling what for
Mm.
what ridiculous amount.
That's the 22nd, is it?
Yes. Yep.
Where are we? Yeah,
We're at the,
got it. Yeah, we're on 2 till 6 that night. I don't have a queen. I don't actually have a gig that night at the moment, so
okay. Well, that can
no
be part of our
rush.
that can be part of our adventure on that one because I can jump
Mm.
in, and it'll be a bit noisy because of all the folks milling about and probably some people
That's
going
all right.
like they usually do.
Of
But
course.
the what's the proper word for the the wankery continues. That's what it is.
Mm,
Right.
quite. There's another thing called the. I'll try and spell it so I don't say it, so I don't get a slap on the wrist. The Fuckening.
Oh yes, yes, right, right,
When
right,
you
right.
know that's going to happen, and then
Hmm.
it does. Yeah,
Well, to quote Mark
has
Aubery,
happened.
Yes.
Quite.
Yes. But yeah, it's kind of like NAMM show. You have shops that you go to NAMM show and you do all this,
That's
and
right.
you only do it at NAMM
Uh,
show because
well, it's that's par for the course there. DL42, thanks so much for the answer. Pleasure. It's an 8182 Aria Pro 2 SB Elite with a Kent Armstrong single pickup. It's a Case Queen. So
lovely.
it's the one in your picture. What do you reckon that's worth, Jamie? I reckon you're looking at 1,000.
Easily. I mean, the only thing that someone would be concerned about would be the Kent Armstrong, but honestly, there's nobody else that
Yep.
makes those pickups decide to quit. So
Yeah.
I'd say 1,200, depending on who's into it.
Mm-hmm. Is it, if it's the one in the picture, then it's white, and white bases are always desirable. So if you put that in with Bass Brothers, Bass Direct, or the gallery, I don't know where you are in the country, but yeah, you're tapping into their customer base, and they have people who will buy areas. Certainly at Bass Brothers, they shift a lot of areas there.
Yes.
But yeah, I guess you're looking at about $1,000, maybe 1,200, around that figure. So
Yeah, I would
yeah,
agree. I thought of something. He said Kent Armstrong, and I thought, oh, look, Kent Armstrong.
there you go.
These are actually made for a Jaydee.
Very handy. You never know when you might need them. Put them in a box.
Oh, I've got them set aside because they came with the remnants of what this fretless used to be,
Mm,
and the guy had them made. Had Ken Armstrong make them specifically for the Jaydee with the preamp.
right, gone here.
So yeah,
I've got you.
okay, yeah. Anything Aria SB. To your point, there's
Say
people
that
who love.
again. Sorry.
I said so anything Aria SB should bring some pretty good dosh.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just looking at your picture, DL42. Yeah, white with matching headstock.
Lovely,
Yeah, you get about 1,200.
yeah,
I'd
easily. And you
say. So once you lose your 20%, you're looking at 240 off. So you get just under 1,000.
yeah,
But then again, if you do go down the base chat route, you're going to be tapping into lots of casual area fans that way. It's it's horses for courses. These retailers do have extensive client bases, uh, but it's whether you want to lose that commission or not. 20% is the standard. But like I say, the gallery does 15%. So
there's also a Facebook page for Aria bases that people buy, sell, and trade all the time as well.
correct.
Yeah, because I'm on there.
Correct. I mean, the joy of getting a retailer to do it is once you've given it to them to sell, that's it. You don't have to worry about anything until the money comes in.
Right.
They do all the shipping, boxing up, the insurance, the lot. So it's
Yep.
up to you whether you want that. You're in Wales, okay, but an ex-London expat. Okay, well, nearest out of those three would be Base Direct, I guess, maybe. You pays your money, you takes your choice. But again, if you want to give the base chat route a go first, and you trouser all the money except for the subscriber fee, go for it. Go for it.
Yep.
But I
And
do know. I mean, I check in on base chat most days at least once. There's been a lot of chat and talk on there about how slow sales are at the moment. But then again, you got to remember we've just had winter, post Christmas, post New Year, credit card bills, tax, self assessment for musicians.
all
So
the
people generally haven't been that flush in terms of instrument buying. Things will change now as we get into spring, summer. A lot of musicians get busier now, so have a bit more expendable income. So you might get a really good buyer and get exactly the price you want. What are you thinking? Did you have a price in mind? Did you know what you want to sell it for, or what you want to get back?
yeah, because most of the music I know are kind of skint right now anyway.
Tell me about it. It's been
All
very
right.
lean. So here in the UK, for me, it's been very lean gig wise.
Well, here,
Um,
well, just because it's the time of year. I mean, to what you said it spot on. I mean, everybody goes for Christmas and goes credit card, and then they come through January and it's like, oh,
That's
you
it.
know,
You've
yeah.
spent
So,
it.
but
You now got to pay it.
yeah, by the time you're starting to mess about with taxes and whatnot, it's like, well, if you're in a pinch, what do? Well, you shift something real fast or as quickly as possible, and you probably don't do as well, shall we say, as you could in other times of the year.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly that. Exactly
Mm-hmm.
that. And then once we get in the summer and everyone's busy and they got a bit more cash, suddenly base sales take off a bit. Well, that's
Right.
my experience. That's what I've seen in years
Yeah.
gone by. I mean, both of my Lembics were bought, or those two, were good fortune for me that their previous owners were selling to clear credit card debts and tax bills in January. I mean, that's the killer for self-employed musicians, is that we get through Christmas and we earn a bit of dosh. We get to January and it's desolate. There's not a lot of work. And at the end of January, you get hit with your tax bill, and if you haven't put the money aside during the rest of the year, you got to find that cash somewhere. And that's on top of then your credit card bill for December coming in as well. So
And the solicitors come calling. Gotta love
that's
that.
it. The old bailiffs start knocking on the door.
Gotta love that bunch, eh?
Such a happy picture we're painting.
Right, right. We're about to switch though, because I mean, springtime. Okay, so what is the official start date of springtime in London, where you are?
Well, seasonally,
Right.
spring starts, I think, on the 21st of March.
Okay, so it's the same.
Hang on, spring date. I'll tell you. It says here for Northern Hemisphere, Thursday the 20th through to Saturday the 21st.
Okay.
That don't work, does it? How
Hmm.
could it be? No, that's not right. Oh, sorry. Spring runs from the 20th of March to the 21st of June. Sorry.
Yeah, because technically, the 21st of March over here across the pond is the first day of spring
Yeah.
officially.
The meteorological calendar for
Yeah.
weather types,
Hmm.
spring will always start on the 1st of March and end on the 31st of May. But the official date is the 20th of March through to 21st of June.
Sure.
And judging on the past couple of summers, it's still bloody spring when we get to July here in the UK. It's like you
Uh,
might as well not even count May and June for summer. We don't get any sunshine. We had snow one year in May, start of May.
well, the only thing I
So,
worry about right now outside, they do Fahrenheit. It's 57 outside.
oh, that's an improvement on last week.
It was indeed. Well,
Oh,
the week that was a fake spring or a false spring,
yeah.
and
I was
then
going through yesterday doing the timestamps on last week's live chat, and you were saying how it was less than 32 degrees there.
it was.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was. Now it's 57 outside, and it's supposed to be. Get this, it's supposed to be 78, I think, on Monday or Tuesday.
crazy.
Oh, flip flops! Here we come.
That's it. Chamois
Short-
thongs ahoy.
Yep. No more trousers. Let's put on the short trousers.
And
Stay
flip
short.
flops everywhere.
Else.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just quickly scroll. Oh, is that? Oh no, that's the Nolly Get Good clinic. So I'm
Dingwall.
just checking. Just checking if there was anything regarding the bass show, but there ain't. There'll be loads of posts later on, no doubt. Actually, I haven't checked bass chat if anyone on there's talking about the show. I'm sure they are. Events. Here we go. Oh, 3 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if anyone's got any reports. Oh, there were people there and they've left already. Okay.
That means it wasn't that spectacular. If they
Yeah,
come and
it
go,
wasn't enough to keep you in.
well, it's like Summer NAMM when it's been here in Nashville. I could be in and out in 30 minutes because there's really not a lot. Disappointing, really.
Never used to be like that. Nam would have you sort of fixed in there for hours, but this is what I said a couple of weeks ago after Nam had happened. I'd seen a few people post about it, and they said there was it just had this feeling that the manufacturers, distributors, and retailers were putting their promotional budgets into social media and YouTube
Mm.
channels. They weren't that fixated on doing the show anymore, and it just felt like there was not a vacancy, but it didn't have that draw that it used to have. And how long it will continue, who knows? But
Sure.
that's a couple of years I've heard similar rumblings that it just feels like there isn't that much emphasis on it. People make a lot of emphasis, but actually when you get there, there isn't a lot to see or do like it used to be.
Well, it's
And actually, as you're walking around, you realize it's sort of a bit threadbare. It's not the hustle and bustle.
right. That's why I didn't go this year, because it's a model that has worked in the the retail side and the purchasing and whatnot side for so long. But I think that because everything is online, because you've got instant access to things faster, it's more of a big party, which is great fun. But I
Yeah,
don't think people just want to spend all that for a party when they're not going to see a lot of return, if you know.
that's it. That's it.
So
And a lot
it,
of it is now so focused on the influencer types and the social media types that's it's a better use of their budget
it is, and
than
because you want to
blowing a
convert that
load of
in,
cash at that show.
right? You want to return on what you're spending, and if you have to come across and you've got to bring the big crates full of stuff, like
Hmm.
you mentioned Mark Goodday earlier. I mean, he when he comes across with the setup, I mean, he's got a lot of stuff with him, so I'm sure
Mm,
that costs quite a bit, because you've got to fly all that over here and then fly it all back.
that's
And
right.
sometimes it's just questioning. The idea is it was great at one point, but I think that day has run its course.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. Those days, those days are gone.
Yep. Yep.
Sadly, I think the way it used to be in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, it's all gone. Not the way it was. Not the
Yeah.
way it was. I mean, even the last London bass show that we did was a combined guitar and bass show
Yeah.
to try and help with the finances of it. But the last bass show we did in 2018 as a standalone show was not the same show we had done in 2014, 15, or 16.
Yeah.
You could already see things were changing. Fender weren't there after. Well, actually, Fender did 2019 because of the guitar bit, but they hadn't been at the bass show since 2013, I don't think. Status stopped coming. Yamaha stopped coming. Ibanez's UK distributor stopped coming. Everything kind of changed, and it wasn't even well, we won't go that year, but we'll come the next year. It was just they just stopped coming.
Hmm.
And I think some of that was also the pricing of the stands was going up and up and up to basically facilitate the higher wages, the higher money we were paying to the stars that were coming to perform.
Oh yes.
But,
Yeah. That's a whole different discussion.
yeah, yeah, yeah. One that I don't know all the things that happened. All I ever got told was the stuff that was for my ears. That you
Mhm.
know, this is who we want. This is what we want to do, and then you try and book them, and they're not. We've left it too long, and we can't get them. So that was that. That was that. Thank you for replying to DL. You have replied. Yeah, we replied back, I think. I know there's a bit of a lag on this because YouTube is putting adverts in at various places. So, like if I click on the analytics page for this live chat, it's running at about 5 minutes slower. So, I should mention, I've realised we've got all these viewers and stuff. Please give the video a thumbs up. I just had a check. We got 4 thumbs ups. The best thing you can do for this video, any videos here on the channel, is please give it a thumbs up. Comments are fabulous as well. Sharing out to social media platforms is fabulous as well. But the thumbs up is the big deal. So if I ask you to do one thing for me, for the channel, for the video, please give it a thumbs up. Even if you're watching on catch up, a thumbs up on this really helps. But like I say, I checked a minute ago. We got 4 thumbs ups.
Mine shows 8.
More, please.
Mine shows 8. So
More, please. Okay. Well, that again, that could be the delay. But here on YouTube, I'm looking, and it's got 4. I can see we've got, hang on, viewers at the moment, we've got 7, and it changes constantly, but the thumbs ups it's showing in the analytics as 4. So all videos here on the channel will benefit from thumbs ups, as the latest batch of reviews and shorts will testify. I did a remix short of a GB Spitfire taken from the 2023 base collection video, just as an experiment to see how it fared in the YouTube algorithm. So on just over a 2-year-old video, created 10 shorts out of there, and that video at the beginning did nothing. It's done somewhere in the region of about 1,700 views in a week. So, and lots of thumbs ups, and it makes a big difference. So thank you to all those who've watched it, liked it, commented on it. Very much appreciated.
more cake.
DL42, I'm on YouTube. It has 7 thumbs up. Okay. Well, my analytics aren't showing that, but again, that could be the delay. In fact, let me just do a refresh on that. 9.
There you go.
I hadn't refreshed the live feed. So when I'm presenting this to you, I'm on StreamYard. I then have a separate window within YouTube, which is the YouTube Studio analytics for this live chat as it happens. But like I say, it's running at a different time. So here on StreamYard, we're at 2:36:51, and on YouTube, in that window, we are at
2:37.
2:34. No, yeah, something like that. We're like a minute. Well, so I'm in StreamYard, it's 2:37:10.
There you go.
And here on YouTube, it's 2:36.
Yeah, there's a minute.
2:36.
There's a
minute.
minute.
About a minute delay. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Go. So yeah, let's delve into the old base collection again. Let's see what's in there. I can show you now, because we can do this now. I can show you the old Jaydee I had. Have I shown you this before?
No, bring it.
Not sure if I had. Oh, all the bloody pictures are gone. Or they're a different format. Hold on. Let me just click on that. There we go. So this was the old Series 2 that I bought for £275 in August 1998.
Okay.
Invalid file type.
Uh-oh.
Great.
Maybe.
Hang on. I'll get that one. So at least you'll see one picture of it.
Okay.
Hopefully. There we go.
Is okay.
So it was a Series 2. Looks lovely from that picture. You think, oh yeah, that's great. Chrome hardware, of course. All the bells and whistles of a Series 2. Except the preamp was completely gone. It was just some homemade rubbish that was put in there. So it didn't quite sound how it should. 2 fretboard splits on the fingerboard. And on the back, if you turn the bass over, you were starting to see cracks in the lacquer. Timbers were moving all over the shop. So I had to move that on. That got shifted in 2002. So I had it for 4 years. Mm-hmm. I've never had a bass that I've had to maintain the truss rod so much. It just drove me insane.
Do you recall the year of it?
Say again?
Do you recall what year it was made?
86.
Okay.
That makes... I fed the information back to Jaydee. So this was in 98 on the phone. And they said, yeah, that was one of a batch round about that period where we had they had certain people in there helping to build bases so they could try and keep up with, customer requirements, and they just couldn't keep up. Everyone wanted a Jaydee, and they had some people that maybe weren't that great, but also the rate at which timber was coming in and going back out meant some of it just sort of slipped through the net, and maybe wasn't the ideal timbre for a particular instrument, and that was just one from that batch
Yep.
through 86 and 87 that sadly had the old banana neck. But there we go. It happens. Every manufacturer gets it now and again. But had they had more time and they had staff that were totally capable, that one probably wouldn't have got sent out. It would have got remedied before it left the workshop. But such is life. But
It
I
is.
did okay. You know, I got it cheap. I just wish the guy hadn't taken the circuit out.
Right. Well,
It ended up having an EMG BT. I can't even tell you what the board was. I could have a look at the receipt one day. But anyway, it had a 3-band EMG circuit went in. And it was good. It was fine. But it wasn't a Jaydee circuit. So
it didn't
someone
sound
bought it. And whether they swapped that out for a proper circuit or not, I don't know. But physically, it wasn't ideal. And,
right. I had one that was dead. I purchased it and the preamp was dead. It was the pearl yellow. And
I love that. I love that.
It was actually really cool. The crazy thing was it was a Rhodey 2A in pearl yellow with the stock and the matching neck and all that. And the preamp was absolutely done. And so I reached out, and Mike Diggins actually sent me a new preamp, and I just wired it in and plugged it up, and away we went. You know, that one had been really played well. Shall we say it had been loved well, and you know, so it actually had a piece of copper kind of pushed into the top, like embedded into the top of the guitar, where that's where they must have rested their thumbs somewhere around that. And so if I ever see that one pop up.
Yeah. Here's a question for you. So why is there no difference in the electronics between any of the Jaydee standard basses? You know, we're not talking about the Calibas stuff where things might be a little different, but there's like no differences in the voicings or the shelved frequencies or any of that. What's the thinking?
So I think it's just for simplicity purposes. You've got one preamp, you've got pickups. Now they did make, I think there were 2 different or maybe 3 different types of pickups. Like, for example, the ones I've got sitting here are the old style. So those are actually like a reverse P-bass pickup in the
split cord.
The wooden cases, right? And then they had one they called the 2000s, which were straight single, you know, humbuckers with 2, you know, coils.
Yep. Those came out just around the time. Well, actually, they're called 2000s because they came out in 2000. But when I put that bass into the bass center to be sold on commission, I think Alex Carter, who was still working at the bass center at the time, either he had just had a bass or the bass center had ordered a brand new Jaydee on consignment, and it was blue and it had blue LEDs, and it was the first bass he had and that the store had that had the 2000 pickups in, and the difference was quite noticeable.
Very much so. And the thing is I think they've gone back to a version of the old style with the reverse P's under the caps, because people wanted what's the first thing, of course, that you think of? Who have we already spoken about when you hear a Jaydee? So if it doesn't do that, you know, I had one bass out of the 20 something of them that I've had that had the S2000s in it, and I totally understand the difference because it doesn't sound the same at all. And the preamp is the same, and the boost circuit is the same, and all that. The pickups just they respond so differently. And then, of course, you would want to, at that point, you would probably want to put the coil tap switches on it so you could go back to the other sound. But I think what they've done is they've just kind of abandoned those and they've gone back to the reverse P style. But the circuit has changed over the years because I've seen some different ones. Again, some of the ones I've had have been older. Some of the ones I've had have been newer. And there's probably 2 or 3 amps depending on who makes it.
Do they not make their circuits themselves?
No, they have those sent out. There's someone who compares those. The 80s ones have a large circuit board on
Yeah.
them. It plays in the back, and it says Jaydee blah 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 on the side. The newer ones have a little box,
Right.
and and so all the things that are coming out now that I've seen have the little box, and
Okay.
it's a lot easier to maneuver. It does the same thing, but I think it had to do with, in part, the fact that some of the components from the old ones are no longer available. Kind of like with the
This is the discussion we had on last week's chat where we were talking about areas and stuff from the 80s, where it's all well and good having these bases. And we were talking about the guys were asking me, what, do I take all of my bases out on gigs? And it's like, well, it's all fine, well and good having these bases from the 70s and 80s, and especially with the active stuff.
right,
But you've got to be aware, if you're buying if you're buying things to appreciate over time, or you're buying things as investments, you have got to seriously keep in your head that you might just pack that base away in its case, but those components will die over time. So
right,
at the point that you then have to replace them or get a new circuit board or a new component, that base ain't original anymore.
right.
And this is the danger. And a lot of these bases from that vintage, this is happening. So it's all
Hmm.
well and good having bases that are as original as the day they left the factory, but over time there will be things that just give out. Um, at
Sure.
which point your investment doesn't look quite as good as it did.
Right. And this is one of the reasons why, for me, I don't purchase old ones to sit. And so
Mm,
if the components are failing, I'm going to shift them out. I'm going to swap them
yeah,
because I want to play it.
yeah,
And if someone is really focused on everything original, etc., I can keep the old bits with it. But for me to use it, I'm going to put
mm,
those in the or put them in the bag or what have you,
that's
and
it.
I'm going to it just as though it's a brand new instrument because I
Yeah,
need to. You
yeah.
know.
No, agreed, agreed. It's a day. It's like I look at my Area SB and I think, and I know that has issues
Hmm.
in terms of the circuit is fine, it's working, the pickup is fine and it's working. But I had three of Carl Maltby's circuit replacements, and each one that I put in, something in that base fried that new board, and we don't know what's doing it. And I've said if I go over to Finland to do some shows or whatever, I'll take that base and I will come and find him and let him have a look at the base, because I tried to see if Martin Peterson would do it, and he just said, "Oh, I just don't want to get too involved." He said, "I don't want to get involved in all that.
Right.
Could be a nightmare." Um,
Right.
but yeah, anyway.
So even if I go, so like we've been speaking for a couple of weeks about what's new in the JD world for me and whatnot. Anything that I acquire at this point that's coming across the pond is probably going to go back to the mothership for a redo, for a touch up, to make
Mm,
sure that it's spot on before it hops a plane and comes
yeah,
this way.
yeah.
So, and I have to admit, I know we talk and joke about it a lot, but they have taken such good care of me with these guitars, and they know that, I've continued to play them live where people can see them, and the first
Hmm.
question I get, of course, is, "What's that?" You know,
Yep.
so I always have fun with that, and that's why I like it enough. Aside from the swirly monster that's over here, that's the Yamaha. These things are my first go-to. So
Yeah.
they have to be playable, which means if the guts have gone south, then we need new ones. Just that simple,
That's the deal.
right? Well, even the King himself has had his red one has had countless numbers of pickups thrown in them because they've either
Used to wear
decided,
them out.
yeah, and actually, I was told too. Just on a side note, I was told that all four of his bases now, aside from the Caliban, the original red one, the Star Child, and then the new red one, and the walnut one named Florence,
Hmm.
uh, same electronics in them now, so they all sound the same because he wanted all of them to be identical tone wise.
Oh, this is the thing. Yeah. That
Yeah.
was. I know this is. We're repeating ourselves from last weekend because we were discussing this then, and I said this is one of the reasons why he had a falling out with Bernie, was that Mark's impression was he couldn't get two basses that sounded the same, and you and I both agreed trying to get two basses to sound the same. You can get in the ballpark, you ain't going to get two complete replications. Just
Right.
it's nigh on impossible because any two bases are made from two separate cuts of wood, even from the
Mhm.
same tree.
Right.
And the way
Right.
wood grows, you're going to get some timber that's very tightly condensed and some that's a little flabbier in terms of the wooden fibers within that block. So
Yeah. And
it can you can get close, but it's very hard to get exact. And Mark seems to have one of those musical ears that he hears every nuance, you know.
yes, as well. And you mentioned earlier asking the question, well, why is the circuit the same? So if we think about it a little on a different level, besides just what we've spoken about now, if the circuit is the same, in theory, you should be able to take that circuit and put in almost any of them and get close,
Mm,
because you don't have five circuits to choose from. You've got one. So that thing does what it does, and then it's up to the wood to kind of pull the tones out of it, if you know what I
yeah.
mean. So I would think in just in my ideas and my thoughts, that would be the thing. So instead of getting, bits and bobs with, okay, well, I want this preamp, or I want the GA24 preamp, or I want this, or I want that, just make one, put it in all of them, and you should have a more consistent, other than the wood, you'd have a consistent kind of thing going through all of them,
Hmm.
which makes sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, if you want
It's
something,
yeah. Because I can remember when Mark first started using the GBs that they had to borrow a customer's bass because
Mhm.
he needed like the backup to the Daphne Blue, and it was a guy. Actually, the guy wrote an article for Bassist about it, and then eventually Mark had his own. Bernie quickly made him almost a copy of that guy's bass, and yeah, one of the issues was, and I remember hearing this from Nathan. He just said one of the things Mark could not get his head around is why he just couldn't have two basses that sounded exactly the same. And I said, well, the pickups and the electronics are going to do the bulk of that. I said, but there's always a sweet spot to do with the wood,
right,
whether it's a bolt on, through neck, fancy woods, not fancy woods. What I said, and then when I went to Warwick in 2016 for the base camp, and they showed you this, and I said again, we're repeating ourselves.
right,
Said this last week. Two identical bases made from two bits of wood from the same tree, same pickup, same electronics, same hardware, same strings, the lot. And then they played two strings, or one string on each bass, across all four strings, and showed you the sine waves, and they did not match up. And
right,
that's it.
right. Yeah, and I mean, I've actually, I mentioned this last week, but I have these three, and you know this. I have these three black ricks sitting here,
Mm,
and they're part of the Black Star series, which is 200 made. And each one of these, they look like this. They're all black,
mm,
literally all black. And these they're 2 months apart each. One of them, I think, is a month from the other. And if you put them on the graph and you looked at each of the three of them played with all the same bits, they're all three different. Same
there
idea.
you go. Yep.
Yeah.
Crazy, crazy, crazy. Crazy
Hmm.
nights and lazy days, man.
And
It
so,
is coming up the 5 to 5 here in London, here in the UK. We'll go for another couple of minutes and then I'll wind down at the top of the hour.
right.
But yeah, yeah. So busy old week ahead for you?
Yeah, I have a busy week this week. So I've
What's
got
going
like
on?
three that I've got to play. What's ironic too is I did. This is a rarity for me, I have to say. I got a request to bits, sound clips, and music bits for a film,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I mentioned something a little bit about this somewhere along the way. But the film releases in 18 days, and it's going to be on YouTube. And I've got a little bit of the Applehead metal thing in it. They picked a song we've licensed to the film, and then I did the bumper music in different spots. And I went through the room trying to figure out which bass spoke to the song and said, "Oh, this works." And for the most part, the old '68 Rick did the trick.
Mm.
Oh, gee, I'm a poet. And so, oops. But and then of course the attitude, yeah, the swirly attitude did one or two of the others. But it's coming out on the 19th, I believe it is. And it's interesting because it's just little bits and pieces of things that it may be a 20-second click, or it could be a minute long of something where you're just playing, chugging along, and then it's over. So that's fun. Like I said, I got a couple coming across. The bass lines will be coming across for Scotland and France and whatnot. And like I said, I take things as they come. So when I get a request, I automatically pull it in and go with it. And it could be any style. So it's fun. It's fun.
Keeps you busy.
I don't get requests for this a whole lot unless I put it in.
That doesn't, no, exactly.
You know,
as I've said here on many a live chat, in 30 years as a professional player, I've probably played slap for about 2%.
I've actually played more fretless than slap.
See, I've never had to do. I had my Kabiki defretted, so I had it if I needed it, and I've never been asked to play anything fretless at all, ever.
So one of these days,
but the Fretless Odyssey will be appearing.
Oh,
I've got that scripted. It's ready to go. It's 2 years in the making. I've got to get round to filming it. But at the moment, I've got so much stuff here. I need to have a mass tidy up here in the office, and I can start filming it.
Somewhere along the way.
But now we're getting to... Sorry, go on.
Okay, so somewhere along the way, I'll bring out the big monster bay.
Yeah, you do that.
Yeah. It won't be Boeing because we're not going to go, oh, look, we're playing bass.
Oh.
I mean, I can do... I don't get asked for that a lot. That's on Dave Swift.
That's right. That's it.
Yeah.
But what was I going to say? Yes. So the Fretless Odyssey is on its way. I know I get messages regularly saying, when are you going to do that thing on Fret? It's coming. It will be very shortly. I've got to get that and my own podcast up. Then Jamie and I are going to do a podcast. I've got another podcast with another guy as well. And we've got to start really pushing the reviews out a little quicker. So it's all good. It's all coming. Right, mate. I'm going to let you go. Do your thing. I am going to bid everyone farewell. We will see you. Well, hopefully we see you next Saturday. If you're around, if you want to come and join us, you're free to do so, of course. I'll let you. In fact, I'll drop you out here. So you take care. Have a good weekend. See you later. Well. Take care, mate. There's Mr. Millard, all the way from Nashville in the US. It is just coming up to 5 o'clock. If you're at the base show, hope you've had a great time. If you're going tomorrow, enjoy yourselves. Get lots of photos, lots of information. And if you aren't doing any of that, but you're out gigging, have a great time. Enjoy your gigs, enjoy your bass playing. We'll be here next Saturday. I think it's 2 till 6 again. Yeah, should be. And we'll do all of this sort of thing again. So thank you very much for everyone who's come in today on today's live chat. Very much appreciated. Thank you to new subscribers. Thank you for all the shares, all the likes, all the comments. New video tomorrow, which will be Gig Vlog 4. Gig Vlog 5 will be later in the week. And I will try and do that Pitchfork review and demo as well. On that note, have yourselves a great weekend wherever you are on the planet. I hope things improve based on yesterday's shambles in Washington. Again, I don't like to bring the channel into politics and all that sort of thing. But let's just hope the leaders of the world can start to grow up a little, behave accordingly. You've been put in positions of power. Do the respectful thing. On that note, right, have a great weekend. Enjoy yourselves. I'll see you next Saturday. Take care. If you're traveling the gigs, driving, drive safely. There are idiots on the roads, and that's the world over. So on that note, have a great weekend. I'll see you next Saturday. Take it easy. Cheers.